All right. Greetings and welcome everybody to season 2 of Ultimate Sensei. We are in our second competition of the season, the Tactics Challenge, and I'm joined by one of the 4 senseis, International Master Matt Kolosowski of Poland. Hi, Matt.
Hi, David. Hello, everyone. Hi, chat.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Busy but great.
Busy but
Really
great.
expecting some fireworks in the tactical challenge.
Yeah, I saw you working with your students a little bit today, but we'll get into that a little bit more once we get everybody started on the competition. I'd like to give our viewers a chance to say hi to all our contestants. So, boom, hello, here's everybody. We have one contestant, Dritman, who couldn't make it today because of a last-minute emergency, but everybody else is here. We're happy to have you. Good luck to all of you. I think that most of the contestants are feeling a little bit of nerves because they're kind of going to be challenged and tested today. But I think the draft tournament was even more nerve-wracking than today. So they made it through that. They should be fine today. Is anybody feeling like this is more nerve-wracking than the draft tournament? No. That thing was really bad, right?
This feels like taking the SAT.
The SAT, yeah. All right, cool. So in a minute we're going to send everybody off to start taking their first test. This tactics challenge today is going to have 3 phases, each of approximately an hour. We'll have different senseis coming through over the course of the show to talk with us about the competition and their players and so forth. I just want to tell everybody here the rules. And for all of you watching, I'm going to explain the rules. And that will give you our contestants one last chance to ask me for any clarification questions about how this is going to work. I'm going to be emailing them images of chess diagrams. They're going to take those diagrams and they're going to solve them in any order they choose with an hour time limit. And some of those questions are going to have one answer. Some of them are going to have multiple answers. Some of them will have no answer at all. And the way to score points will be to say no answer. And that could get them some points on those questions. This is how I like to test people on tactics in general, because it's more like a real game where you don't ever really know if there is a tactic or not. So they'll be able to bounce around between those. Any wrong answer is going to lose them points. So they also have the option of saying, I don't know on some question rather than guessing an answer. And every right answer is going to give them points. In their answers, if they give a longer variation that shows what the follow-up is or shows what the best defense is or something like that, they can score an extra point here and there in their variations. They are going to have 10 puzzles in this first challenge today. So yeah, any questions about the rules, either from chat or from our contestants? All right, I'm getting a thumbs up. It looks like they are ready. So contestants, I am going to send you an email now, if I can find my email. Yeah, I'm going to send you an email now, and you may all quit the audio on the Zoom call. All right. And note to all the coaches not to send...
How do I quit audio?
In the Zoom call, in the lower left corner, there's a little mic.
Oh, yeah, got it. Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, note to any senseis who are watching, please don't email an answer guide to your students. Yeah, I didn't include that rule. I always forget rules, Matt.
Or other students.
I always forget some points or other. But hopefully that's one that's understood, and Andras isn't feverishly solving my test right now. Yeah. All right. So now it's you and me here, and I'm calling up the test. You can have a look at the test too if you want, Matt. I've emailed it to you, and
Yeah,
it's currently
I've just
showing
downloaded that.
in small format here on the stream. For our viewers today, this show is not going to be action packed right off the bat the way like the rapid tournament was last time, or the way like the blitz tournament will be, or the endgame challenge will be. But one of the ways I would encourage you to consume the current show would be to try and take the same test as the students. The students will not be moving pieces or drawing arrows, Neve. Yeah, the test is not hard enough for that. If they could move the pieces around, I think this test would become probably too easy for the level of these students. So these aren't like, correspondence chess style puzzles. um, with the exception of one puzzle, Matt. I put in one puzzle here as a cheat detection.
Meaning it is too difficult, or
Yeah. I didn't tell the students that. I told them there were some with answers, some with multiple answers, some with no answers. There's also one with an impossible answer. So if the students get it right, I know that student cheated on this
Okay.
test.
That's very, very well thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
I just I was trying to share the same content, the same test with my community. It's
nice.
difficult to arrange it nicely,
Mhm.
but I hope they're going to have the opportunity to solve it,
Yeah.
or maybe I'll crop it into 2 pieces actually.
Yeah, it's 2 pages long, this test, and you guys say the Matt's audio is low. Oh yeah, I can see why. Let me fix that. It's because my mic is too high. I need to bring it down, and then you guys can use the audio, the volume on your computers to balance it. My mic always needs to be brought down, which I hadn't yet done here. I'm gonna cycle through some random different scenes and see if that brings my mic down everywhere. Yep. All right. It looks like that worked. All right. All right. So, let me next show you all the test so you can all get started on it. Here is test 1. In a slightly bigger format. Is this viewable and legible for the viewers? Yeah. This is the first 8. There are 2 more on this test, and I can show you the 2 more like this at some point, you see. But I'll start you off with puzzles 1 through 8 here. It still hurts your brain and eyes. Well, yeah, that I can't do anything about. You may or may not like tests. But Neve, I think you are very capable of doing this particular tactics challenge. Oh, we also need to set a clock. Should I put 58 minutes on it at this point?
I think 20 will be enough, right?
20 minutes should be enough.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, right?
Have you already solved all the problems?
No, not yet.
Yeah?
No, I just looked at just the first 2 of those, and they were pretty straightforward.
Okay.
What's number 6 right now? Because I just cropped it differently, so I have 1, 2, and then 5 and 6. I guess 5 is just. Can I say what my thoughts are, or not yet?
Well, I don't know if we want to start off by giving answers yet. I believe you can solve these puzzles, but if we start off with answers, then our
Yeah, that
viewers
will ruin the show.
won't
Fair
get to try and like puzzle through them themselves.
Fair point.
All right. The bishop in puzzle 3 looks like it's on the b8 h2 diagonal. B8 H2. Oh, because the positions are so close to each other, right? Like I'm not a good graphics person. I spent a lot of hours like making this test, but most of the time was on the positions, not on making a pretty picture of them. So I guess what you're saying is the bishop on A2 in position 4 looks like it might be on the board for position 3, huh?
No.
No? Okay, so the other thing I want to bring up here is I'm going to bring up the timer since I've got it. So you can see the time that they've got. Ticking down. Yeah. Should I check my email for solutions already?
Let's just give them a couple of more minutes.
Yeah. But Matt, you think some of the students might be able to do this test in about 20 minutes?
I think they will be, due to the obvious stake, they will be trying to double check if everything is correct rather than just making them, solving as quickly as possible, because they will be they will smell a rat if there's one there. And specifically in those positions which are, as you mentioned, I'm not sure if strategic is the right word, but basically where there is no tactics, they will be looking if there's actually, if they are 100% sure that there's actually nothing there. So I'm not expecting anyone solving this in 20 minutes, although I think Blue Jay seems to be quite a fast person, so
yeah,
he might be trying to.
Yeah, he might be one of the people most likely to do it really, really fast.
I think 30 minutes, for 35, 40, then you should be expecting some answers already.
Okay. The timer is finicky. If I put another window on top of it, it stops ticking. But I think I got it set. Yeah, I think Blue Jay might be one of the fastest. And if this test were more geared towards speed, that would probably help Blue Jay. But the fact that it's more geared towards accuracy, Blue Jay might have to actually make an effort to slow down.
Which is difficult.
Yeah. It can be. I mean, we're probably going to see scores in the 20s is my guess as far as like how many points it comes out to. So it becomes pretty unlikely that there are ties, and therefore the time might barely matter unless the test is.
You just need to qualify to the second round at first, right?
Yeah, you need to get one of the top 4 scores. So there's no bonus for being first versus being third or seventh. And they've got no idea how the others are doing either, so they can't really like try to draw in the last round or anything. They just have to get as many right as they can. Yeah. Defania says these puzzles are harder than expected. Okay. You have no clue. It seems not easy for this level. Okay. Well, 14 to 1600 FIDE is kind of like 15 to 1700 like chess.com rapid ratings. So these are players who know the basic building blocks. Like they know, all the back rank mates and smothered mates and first degree deflections and things like that. So most of these puzzles are an extra move, like have one extra detail to them at least, one trick. Approximately in Lee chess, maybe another 300 points on top of that, Urxor. So by Lee chess ratings, these players could be somewhere in the 1800 to 2000 or so range.
Do you think there's a difference like that?
Yeah, I think it's a few hundred points around that level. Yeah.
Because honestly, I've been struggling. So you're saying Lichess has what? If your chess.com rating is 1600, you
Yeah.
should be approximately 1800 on
Nine,
Lichess.
19.
1900.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was struggling to get a much higher rating on Lichess myself as
Right.
compared to chess.com.
It's true in the 1000 to
So
2000,
it depends on the range
2100
actually.
range. But then at some
Okay.
point that difference collapses. So you won't find like a 2400 who's rated 2700. You might
Okay.
you might get like 50 to 100 points more on Lee chess instead of 300 points more in the if you're playing against other IMs and GMs on there.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So it means there's less people playing on that top level, right? On Lichess.
I'm not sure actually. I'm not
Because
sure.
that would this way it's more difficult to gain rating points. I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that the 300 seems to be semi-stable in the 1200 to 2000 range, and then that it would sort of collapse. I'm not sure the mathematical reason behind that. Um, but okay. So Mighty Marcus says, "Wait, am I deluded or I just don't see an answer for puzzle 5?" It's possible that there isn't one. It's possible that there is. Yeah.
Let me take a look at 5.
Anyway, I don't know if it was meant as a criticism or not, but somebody made a comment in chat that the rating range is not very well defined. If we sort of have well, if it's this FIDE or if it's that chess.com or if it's that Lee Chess or if it's that Blitz rating or that Rapid rating, because even on chess.com, Blitz and Rapid ratings are different. But in order to put people into a field that's pretty equal, when some people haven't played OTB and some people have played and have a national Polish rating and other people have played and have a national US rating, by definition, we just have to do our best job of evaluating the player's strength across multiple ratings that they might have. There's no simple formula that's going to do it for us, really.
And there's no time to make a proper exam, test their opening skills,
Before
tactical
I put
skills,
them into
endgame
the
skills, strategy,
yeah.
analysis.
Yeah. And there are some players who will have an OTB rating that's, 1500 and they could belong in this event, but they've got a chess.com rating that's 2000. And I know because of OTB being closed for a year and a half, they've gained 300 points and I don't want them in this competition because they're just too strong. I really want the players to be within 200 points of each other when they start out. So. Oh yeah, whether I've clearly defined what lines they're supposed to do. Yeah. Yeah, I think the players aren't sure exactly how many variations to give and what I'm looking for. Matt, was there a way for me to make that clearer, or it's never going to be totally clear?
What lines they should be giving? No,
How
I
many
think it's.
lines they're supposed to give, or how many variations?
I mean, it depends on the position. You can never. It should work exactly like in a game, right? Your opponent will not tell you how many lines you're supposed to find. You're just always supposed to find the best defense for your opponent. And there may be one line, there may be 5 alternatives, and you need to consider all of them. So there isn't never a clear answer. Everything that's necessary.
Right. So they have to calculate what they would have to calculate to play a move in a game. Sort of. Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of how I wanted it to be. So I guess that's still on them to figure it out.
I think the more it resembles the actual game, the better. Because regardless of the competition, after all, we're here to make them play better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or no, because I'm not sure.
So let me talk to you for a minute while the players work. I'll come back periodically to the positions for folks who are working on this test. But if somebody really is intent about wanting to work on this test and try and spend the next 46 minutes and see how they can stack up, if you're anywhere in the 1200 to 1800 range, it's probably a pretty good test for you. That's OTB. So again, shift at 300 points or 100 points for chess.com, 400 points for Lee Chess. You can take a quick screenshot here and work on these puzzles. But I'm going to be cycling through, different views so that sometimes we can, watch our contestants as they work on the test, and other times you can just see Matt and me as we chat about chess coaching. Yeah.
Difficult topic.
Yeah. So I saw you doing some lessons in the past couple weeks with your students, and I noticed that you were doing some tactics work with them, but not only tactics work. Did you have any feeling like you should prepare them for this tactics challenge today, or did you just have in mind the whole time like the finals as being the goal of this, or something else? Oh, you're talking, but you just went muted. I don't know why.
Maybe right now,
Now you're back. Yeah.
but this is a different microphone actually,
Interesting.
which is strange because I'm using an external one and it's not working because maybe I'm using it for stream. In any case, the answer was that we are preparing ourselves for the last event, for the final event. So generally, we're working on those issues I felt that are the most relevant for Thai and Set because I'm coaching them, and they're two different players. So for Thai, it's we're working on strategy and generally positional understanding. With Set, it's more of a working on his on those pawn structures that occur the most frequently out of his openings, and also we've been working on like calculation process, but in terms of technique. So how to properly calculate. So I was not just showing them like 1, 2, 3 move tactical positions, but working actually on their tactical discipline. But we were also working on tactics, and I showed them a couple of new types of exercises, and they both admitted that they've never been doing something like that, which included blindfold chess, blindfold exercises, which I think it's an extreme method of working on your calculation, but there will be dividends later on. And so we did a bit of a preparation for the event, but nothing specific. So, we didn't really practice like, for example, in any specific format. It was just about working on their vision, working on their technique, and just doing some work. Usually this was just a warm up before the actual topic prepared for a specific session.
Yeah. So last time we ran this, I was one of the coaches. Kostya was the one setting up the challenges and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't prepare my students at all for the intermediate challenges. All I cared about was winning the finals. So we didn't we didn't take one step out off to the side from like our ultimate goal of winning in the finals, which is going to be the same 15+5 time control that they played in the draft tournament. So do you often have students use blindfold as a component if you want them to get better at calculation, visualization?
Not so often, but basically, what I told them is that whenever I have myself a tournament approaching with not so much time left to be prepared, when I want to sharpen my tactical vision within even a couple of days, then this is the ultimate training tool. Like if there is still hope for you, it's in blindfold chess. So usually when I'm working with someone long term, we don't use blindfold chess that often, although I use elements because I know it can be really time consuming. So I usually give that as a homework or some warm up puzzles, etc.
Cool.
What do you think about this? Are you using this?
I think that blindfold is like a handy thing to do, and I think I think that almost anybody, if they want to, is capable of doing it. So I've done a couple lessons on how to learn to do blindfold work. I mean, I think for some people it'll be more useful as a tool for their actual tournaments, and for other people less, because probably different people like use different processes to figure out their moves during a tournament. Like
Yeah,
some people will even just
basically.
look away from the board, right? Like Ivanchuk or Nakamura.
Mm, yeah. I think everything depends on what your actual problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your problem is the pattern recognition, blindfold chess will not help you. If your problem is visualization or your technique, or that you're basically losing the position after move 3 or so,
Yeah.
then blindfold chess will be a very good element of training. It's not that
Yeah.
it's the only
Mm-hmm.
way to practice tactics. It's supposed to be aimed at, its target is the visualization, or being able to calculate for a couple of moves ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
But it
sense.
will not show you. It will not help you find a skewer.
Right.
If you
Find a skewer. Nor
you
will it
can't
teach you how
identify
to
it.
take one idea and twist it into another idea. It won't help
Yeah.
you with creativity. There's so many different elements. It'll help you if your problem is visualizing it. Like you calculate a 2-move line and you don't realize that at the end one of the pieces is hanging, or you count a piece twice in your variation, like you use it 2 times in the same variation.
So I know it's like getting off the topic a little bit, but recently I've had a student who watched like I made this course for another website. Never mind, which was on tactics.
Mm-hmm.
This was a course on tactics in different areas, and one of the techniques I was discussing was the stepping stone technique. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's basically lets you calculate like countless number of moves, 15 or so. It's possible to do that with using this technique.
Okay.
So, and basically the guy approached me because he really liked the way I described that. But when I realized what his level was, I told him it's not the technique for you. You probably need to focus on the basics.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make sure that you find easy tactics, like
Yeah.
2-3 move tactics. Make sure you get them right and quick, and
Mm-hmm.
don't get to those extreme techniques. This was one of the last chapters, like showing
Yeah.
how actually describing how, for example, Garry Kasparov was able to find this fantastic line against Topalov, this which ended with this Queenshead Castle
Right.
game where Kasparov found this one of the best lines in history of chess.
Yeah. I can bring it up. I think I have the position live right now. So I'm gonna bring it up right here. This is crazy. It's as if I knew you were gonna talk about this thing. Here we go on stream. This is what he's talking about. In this position here. Nope, that's the wrong position. Where's Gary? Here's Gary. All right. So in this position here, apparently Kasparov saw move 37, rook to d7, while waiting for Topalov to make like his 20th move here. It's pretty insane for a position this complicated to see that far ahead. I don't know if I even like remember the moves myself.
No, I don't. It's just
And I
the
looked
idea.
at it once, last week. Blindfolded, by the way. I was practicing reading chess books blindfolded myself. So I was reading a book where this game was analyzed, and they said at first Gary hadn't seen every detail. It was partly there was some instinct and intuition, as well as a bunch of brute force calculation. But that while he was sitting here with Topalov thinking, he realized some move that's like on move 37. It's just outrageous, right? But it starts with this, and then maybe queen c3, bishop d5. I don't know. This thing is like completely insane. This game he played. Anyway, he saw something like 10 moves further away from this that's like a cross pin tactic, where even if we were in the position where he played rook d7, most of us would want to calculate for a couple minutes. And he'd already like seen the move, and somehow once he saw the move, like that was it. He saw the whole thing. But this is one of the most crazy chess calculations of all time, honestly.
Yeah, so what I was describing was actually that if you try to calculate everything from the very beginning, it will be pretty much impossible, and you'll be coming back and forth, probably losing lots of time, and your calculation will be, the longer you calculate, the quality gets just worse and worse. There's a huge probability you will miss something somewhere along the lines. So the key is actually to divide it into pieces and try to like stop and make, like, when there's a branching point in calculation, you just want to make it your initial position and just take it from there, so that you don't have to calculate 10 moves, but for instance 4 moves, and divide it into segments where you actually need to make sure that you properly visualize, to imagine the position properly.
Uh-huh.
So this is kind of a trick, but
So you need to be able to sort of
it's
stop and
doable.
make a new picture there.
Yeah.
And
So
then
you
you can choose
concentrate
whether you're
first.
calculating from the starting position or from like a couple other branch positions that you take pictures of.
And you never come back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
So you take a mental snapshot of that particular position,
Yeah.
and you only go back until this certain point where okay, the game needs to go until this point.
Mm-hmm.
If the opponent deviates, it means he went wrong. So
Yeah.
then you calculate, for instance, 3 moves, branching point, 3 moves, branching point, 3 moves, etc.
Yeah. I should see if
But
I'm able to do that.
it's not for 1,200 players.
No. Like I can't visualize anything in my head, so I actually don't use that technique. I just like keep track of where pieces are one at a time, and actually when I calculate, I go back to the beginning like every time again and again. I should see if I could train your step
It's
method.
well, I read that in one of the books, which I'm if we talk of the stream, I can tell you the title, but I
Yeah.
don't want to recommend anything right now. So yeah, the author, very good coach, mentioned that this is actually a flaw in your calculation process if you need to go back all the way.
Yeah.
Although it's very difficult to not to do that.
Yeah. It's
It's
a
really
flaw, but
difficult
I
to
I literally can't picture anything, so I'm not sure if I'll be able
yeah.
to like take a picture of like or like take a snapshot of a branch position.
Don't worry if you don't become Kasparov one day. Don't worry,
Yeah.
it's fine.
I
It's
always
okay.
wanted to be, but I gave up at some point.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, so we're almost halfway through the test.
Any answers,
Time.
by the way?
I haven't received any answers yet. I just checked a moment ago. I'll check when we actually hit 30 minutes. We go here, and we can see the time ticking down and the positions for positions 1 through 8. I don't know if anybody in chat has solved all the positions yet, or is working through it. If you're working through it, I hope you've got a couple answers by now. There's not much of an incentive for them to send it early, no. Although once they send it early, they can relax, they can take a break, they can chat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, energy management seems to be,
Velcro
important.
Dot's getting close to having some answers. She's showing her notebook. It looked like she had about 7 variations at least.
I'm wondering how stressful this is for them.
Yeah. I think after the draft tournament they're all okay, but they were a little bit worried. Like, what are the rules? And it that's a failing of mine, that like I don't make the rules like crystal clear, so then there's like some uncertainty and nervousness around it. Okay, Chess Latte solved 1, 2, and 4. It's a good start, Latte. You could possibly finish by the end if you work hard. Uh-oh, Computer Flight is rated 3,000 and can't do them. If the test is too hard, at least it'll be too hard for all of them. Let me go through the answers. Okay, that one's fine, that one's fine. That one's fine. That one's cool. Fine. I don't think overall these first 8 here are too difficult. I think these are all fair questions for their rating level. What do you think for your two students, Ty and Seth? Do you think these first 8 problems would be particularly challenging for them?
Uh, Honestly, I'm pretty confident about Ty's performance. I'm not sure how Seth is going to handle those.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think they may be tricky. Some of those, at least.
Number 10 is a bit hard.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen number 10.
Yeah, you probably
yet.
haven't seen number 10 yet. I'll switch to number 10 here for a second. I'll make it real big. The timer's in the way, so I'll move the timer for a second.
Wait, I'm actually wondering if I have all of the solutions.
All right. Everybody, let's give Matt 60 seconds to solve what the others get 60 minutes for. So I made positions 9 and 10 really big here. I think I can say at this point that 9 and 10 are much harder than 1 through 8. So that's information I can reveal without spoiling the whole experience for everybody. You lose points for guessing, by the way, Chess Latte.
This rule is actually quite tricky. I mean, it's because in a normal game you still need to make a move and press the clock, right?
Yeah.
And here you can say I don't know.
Yeah.
In a game you can say I don't know.
Right. No, in a game you'd be forced to. Yeah, we're not exactly in a game, but yeah, in a game you'd be forced to make some kind of move and blunder.
Pretend it's okay.
Yeah. I could have said hey, you have to either make a guess or guess that there's no answer, and they would have to basically make a move. In that sense, it would be like making a move. Either you say okay, I play knight to b1 because there's no tactic, or I play queen takes h7 because there is. Mm-hmm. They would have to make that kind of guess. But I was just concerned that if some people were sort of running out of time at the end of the hour, it would sort of unfairly penalize them, since I am taking off points for wrong answers. I'd rather just they get 0 points for the questions they don't get to, for those who don't quite get through the whole test. We can maybe make the links, the fens available later, Ken, for those who are interested in this. Maybe we can post a recap article later with the positions. But right now, while I'm running the show, I can't be copy pasting fens individually to viewers.
So how will you be checking those answers, one by one, or just?
Yeah, we'll check them one by one
on the stream.
On stream, yeah,
okay.
Live grading. And it'll be sort of at the end of your hour, so it's up to you whether you want to watch the grading or tag out for Kostya at that point. So we'll see.
Okay. I've had problems with one of those, and I've just solved it.
All right. So you think you've got all 10 now?
No, I'm sharing those first 8 with my community, so I'm not even looking at that.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I can just check my email.
So you're through the first 8 there with your community. Cool. Yeah, and by the way, folks, it's a good time for me to remind you every now and then of some things. Here, give a follow to Matt, twitch.tv/Matt_Kolosowski.
Especially if you're interested in Polish content.
Especially if you've got some Polish language skills. But your English is perfect. You stream in English too sometimes, right?
I do, but not so often, honestly. I mean, I've been doing more of English streaming, but recently I've been really involved in releasing my own courses in Polish. So I also try to engage the Polish community and promote those materials. Yeah, I also regret not streaming in English, but it is what it is. Maybe due to the Ultimate Sensei, yes, things will change.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's tricky to figure it out, right? Because, like, I would like to stream in some languages other than English on our channel, but I'm afraid that if I do, it would, like, mess up what people expect, you know? Like, they
Exactly.
expect chess in English, right? If I come on one day and, you know, play a game other than chess in French or something like that, then maybe that would hurt our channel instead of being like a fun
And
thing for me to do.
another point, actually quite an important one, because I think the majority of my community would be comfortable with me streaming in English,
Mm-hmm.
like in terms of understanding.
Yeah.
But there's chess TV.
Right.
In Polish chess TV, it's really accessible. Like, of course, you need to when there are events, it will be probably occupied. But other than that,
Right.
it's possible to get your slot. In
Yeah.
English, pretty much impossible.
Yeah. Okay, let me see real quick what the chat is saying. Somebody is saying German stream question mark. That doesn't tell me if they want it or not. And Renga would still watch. And Urxor wants to see a stream where Jesse's coach yells at him in Russian. Yeah. If there's enough emotion, you don't even need to understand the words. That would be fun. I agree. And we're so used to Jesse yelling at everybody. It would be great to see somebody yelling at Jesse for sure. Yeah. So that's positions 9 and 10. Folks, I'm going to switch back to positions 1 through 8. So grab those as images if you need them because they're about to go away.
I'm looking at those too, and I have some ideas, but it's difficult to,
Yeah.
without fully concentrating. They're actually tricky.
Yeah.
I see there's some.
Number 10 I got from a book, and it took me like probably 15 to 20 minutes to solve it. Number 9 is inspired by a position from a student's game, but then like I changed the position to make the tactic that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these positions are adaptations from games. Like, it's great to take a position from a game as a tactic. It's really real life and all, but sometimes it doesn't quite do what you want then. So I like to like take a position from a game and then
Slightly
bend it to my will, you know. Sometimes to make like a bigger difference between the value of the best move and the second best move, I'll just change the placement of some pieces so that there's one answer instead of 2 or 3. Sometimes I like to have 2 answers. Sometimes I'll take a tactic and then just change a piece so the tactic doesn't work. Then give people like a position. They're like, oh, I recognize this. It's Carlsen Anand. It's this move. It's like, well, I added a bishop on a3. So.
That's sneaky.
Yeah.
I think I have 9.
Okay. Good. I think 9's difficult. I don't think many people are going to get 9.
Oh.
I don't think many people are going to get 9 or 10. But I think 1 through 8 are doable.
You're making me wonder.
Well, no, you're 1,000 points higher than them. You don't have to second guess yourself.
There's still some pressure on me.
Yeah.
They can make mistakes.
But I'm not going to grade you on stream, so no one will know if you got one wrong.
Okay.
All right, let me check if we've gotten.
It's good that I'm not playing any tournament any soon because apparently I'm not sharp enough.
You're not at your sharpest right now?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I mean,
no
those
answers yet.
Events are good, but
no answers yet. 22 minutes to go. I hope the players aren't struggling with knowing how much time they have. 8 is a live position common in Puzzle Rush, says Stamen.
Wait, which one?
Position number 8, Stamen says, is a common position in Puzzle Rush. I did deliberately create out of my own head two positions that are Puzzle Rush like. These are not adaptations from games or anywhere. These are me taking recapturing a theme that I think is common in Puzzle Rush and messing with it to set a trap for the contestants. For those of them who do Puzzle Rush on survival mode, it won't be a problem. If anything, it'll be an advantage for them. For those of them who do 3-minute Puzzle Rush, they could mess up.
Yeah. Because you just trust your instincts, right?
They might just be like, oh, I know this, and move on to the next puzzle. Because even though they don't like gain more by finishing in 30 minutes than 50 minutes, they don't know if they're going to finish question 8, 9, 10. So there's some time pressure on them to try and knock some of them out quickly. All right. One of the contestants asking through chat how much time is left. That was great. Now I could just text them all how much time there is there.
I'm not sure how I feel about who's asking.
Which question?
How much time's left?
Oh.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean,
Oh, right.
It probably expresses that the results are not so great.
That he's not yet all the way there.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. We've got a question from Mighty Marcus Chess Coach, who's probably also a chess coach like us. And their question, which I think is a good one to send over to you, is how important would you say it is for like a 2200, 2300 FIDE player to be able to beat a 2000 rated player blindfold? Like, should you be able to win games blindfolded against players a couple hundred points lower than you? Would that be a good training goal?
I'm not sure really, because it shouldn't be the primary goal. I mean, you're not fighting for any kind of a reward, I'm guessing. If you're making a bet, okay, fine, so be it. But it's not your training goal. Your training goal should be to, I don't know, go through Dvoretsky and memorize those positions and know how to play, good technical chess. But I'm not expecting, blindfold games to be that useful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's particularly important.
Right.
I mean, I was able, for example, the last time I played a blindfold game was only against a student who didn't believe me I would beat him blindfold. It was the only reason me
right.
agreeing to play blindfold.
So basically like a party trick, not something that's like
sort
to
of,
be trained in order to be a professional chess player.
No, you don't need that. You don't need that because basically, I don't think at this level you need to calculate so far. So usually it's more about being able to identify those situations where you actually need to calculate. When you don't, calculate those short lines really precisely and have a good evaluation skills. Have good evaluation skills.
Mm-hmm.
This is like grandmaster thinking.
Yeah.
Those guys don't really calculate 10 moves ahead in every kind of a position. They do 2-3 moves calculation and quickly evaluate.
Yeah.
So I had this discussion with one of the Polish 2650 players, and there was a very complicated position, and he said, and I was asking him, can you calculate that far? And he said, calculation, this is not a problem, but proper evaluation of the final position. This is actually the problem.
Yeah.
So now I don't think being able to play blindfold an entire game or even beat someone, whatever the range is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a good point about how important evaluation is, because I think that's something that I struggle with a lot. I think definitely one of my top 2 or 3 biggest weaknesses is in positions when I'm slightly worse and I look ahead at 3 or 4 different options, and some of them are probably like I'm down 0.3 of a pawn and some I'm down 0.5 of a pawn. like it's very hard for me to judge which ones are going to be more of a problem than the others. So I can calculate,
Right.
a 3 move variation and see what the option gives me, but oh man, it's tough to do the evaluations.
Mm.
And
It's really about being practical. Usually, I mean, whenever we're talking about actually being able to calculate that far,
mhm.
whether you like the position, the resulting position. I actually got one tip from, who was it? Also a very strong player, or maybe this was mentioned on in a kind of an interview. So whenever you have a couple of options to choose from, choose the position that you know that if there is a time trouble approaching, you will feel comfortable with.
Mm. Because
So
that's a
if you
position
feel
that you're
better
like
about,
instinctively a little bit more likely to be comfortable in or play
or
better in.
or which will be easier for you or more practical for you,
Yeah. Yeah,
because
yeah.
there are times where you prefer to go for a position which is maybe even more chaotic, but it will be slightly more difficult for your opponent. Or there are times where you know that you prefer to go for a risk-free position when you have a slight pool and you may torture your opponent for countless moves and you will have easy choices, as opposed to maybe going for something more ambitious but more risky.
Okay, so let's move to one completely different subject for a moment. I just checked. There's 15 minutes left, and I've got no answers yet. So either the
Disturbing.
test is harder than intended, or the players have really taken to heart that it's all about accuracy and not speed, and they're just double checking everything and taking it really seriously.
I think both actually.
Or they could all just
I
be
think they
trying really hard to solve the impossible question.
I think they may have been expecting something easier,
Yeah,
really. But that's good.
yeah. So what I wanted to ask you, Matt, was to look around at all these faces, and do you feel like there's anybody who looks particularly confident or particularly like they just don't know what's going on?
I see that my students are really focused, which is good sign,
Mm-hmm.
or a really bad sign. Like they have absolutely no clue what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
which I wouldn't expect. No, there's no one really that worried, I guess. Maybe Blue Jay seems to be the most confident, but I think he always makes this kind of an impression.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I mean the look on his face, I would think he's
No,
already sent in his answers,
the
but he
majority
hasn't.
of, maybe he's just struggling with one and just trying to figure things out.
Yeah. But we've got a lot of people who look kind of relaxed focused. I mean, it's a little oxymoron, but that's kind of like, to my
Relaxed
mind, one of the
focused, yes.
best ways you can approach puzzles is like you're focused, but you're not like wound up and too tense about it.
That's true.
The person who looks the most worried to me as I've been watching over the course of this test has been Falk.
Yeah, possibly. And you know what? It would make perfect sense because I mean, based on the tournament, this preliminary event, he made an impression of a very good positional player
Mm-hmm.
with good understanding, with a strategic foundation.
Yeah.
But he was also capable of blundering in one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's totally true. Um, yeah, I mean, he also looks the most tired of anyone, as if he's like, going through something really, really difficult. We published a blog today, which many of the viewers may have seen. If you haven't, you can still check it out, even though there's more data now. But we published a power rankings where Mitch and myself sort of like guessed at which players looked the best in the draft tournament. And which
Okay.
teams we thought might be strongest based on having like the players who looked the best to us. And I actually took Falk, which is obviously what Costa did as well, since he took him with the first pick. But I thought that Falk was extremely impressive in that first one. But right now, he's definitely looking like he's struggling with today's contest.
Agreed. There might be some interesting conclusions actually by after this event.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my sort of tentative suspicions is that Blue Jay is a very good tactician, and today might confirm or contradict that theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it at night for him? Yeah, I think he's in Korea, so he's got by far the worst time zone of anybody today, I think. Um, yeah, yeah.
Do we actually have anyone from Europe? Does Falk live in
Yeah,
Germany
Falk lives
or?
in Germany.
Yeah. I really regret not being able to have someone from Europe.
For your coaching hours.
Yeah, this makes it a bit difficult, but no, we're doing just fine. But you know, we had some. Basically, there is what 9 hours difference between
Hmm.
us, so it makes it quite tricky. So we're working on weekends basically.
Yeah. Also, as chat is saying, Lula lives in UK,
Oh,
which
yeah.
may or may not have exited Europe, but still is pretty close in time zones, one way or the other.
No, Europe, UK is just 1 hour
Yeah,
behind.
yeah. Okay, let me see. Any answers coming in? No, we're gonna have to grade them all at once.
0.
Yeah. Anybody in chat still working on it and not want us to start telling you the answers? Because we could use these last 9 minutes to start explaining the answers to some of the puzzles. I think that would be fair. Katrina looking very animated here with her paper. Anybody in chat not want to hear the answers? The only reason we haven't answered any questions so far is basically so that chat could work on it all as much as they wanted to.
My community is joking that there are obviously mistakes in printing because these postures are impossible, basically.
There may be. That's another thing I do, Matt. In addition to not laying out the rules clearly, I sometimes have like a piece on the wrong square or something like that, and then that's just the kind of error I make. So it's good that you and then Kostya and Andras will be around to correct some things if the puzzles are actually just wrong. You assume I
Okay.
engine checked these? I think most of them I did. Yes, because
It's a
I
very good question. Very
yeah
good question.
because I wanted to be able to grade them faster and not have to have somebody say, well, what about this move? And I just I can say like, oh, I computer checked it and the computer didn't say that move. But even with the computer checking, I could have copy pasted some positions wrong anyway, even after checking my intended position. All right. So anyway, we're going to start with questions 1 and 2. We're going to answer them here. So, Matt, which question would you like to answer? Number 1 or number 2?
I can start with 1. Let's just go by the order.
All right, number 1.
There's no hidden agenda here.
Here's the answer, folks. You can grade yourselves at home, those of you who've tried doing the test with us.
Right. So once you understand that the black pawn goes down, the problem becomes evident. You need to try to stop it. And the knights have particular problems with pawns. They're not that fast. So the whole idea is to be able to capture the pawn or sacrifice the knight for the pawn to liquidate into a draw position. So the first move, knight f6, hitting the pawn g4, forcing it to go to g3. And now geometry. We go knight h5. The knight on the rim is dim unless it attacks the pawn, threatening fork. g2 is forced because the pawn is under attack. It needs to move, otherwise we take it. And after g2, there's knight f4 check, winning the pawn just on time.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good.
1 point.
You got it. You got all the points, Matt. Let's hope your students do as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did that.
This one has a second answer, which I think few players are going to give the second answer, but knight e7 also draws. I
Knight
believe.
e7, and what if king e4, just knight g6? Yes.
Yeah, knight e7, king e4, knight g6, and you go to h4.
Yes. So if there is a pawn on g3, there is still a draw if the knight is in front of the pawn. But if the pawn on g2, you will still draw with the knight on g1, right?
Yep, you'd
So
still draw with the knight on g1.
It would have to be the h pawn where. If there's a pawn on h3, the knight on h2, then I guess it depends where your king is, but it should still be a draw. I think so.
Yeah, the h pawn is the only one where you really risk losing if you can catch up with the pawn at all. The other ones, if you can catch up at all, then you're okay. Okay, so that's the first one. And I think because there's very few pieces on the board, the students will all get the first one correct, I think. Maybe the only one where I'm pretty confident everyone will get it right. But on the other hand, they may be used to tactics being middle game things, not end game things. I think there's all kinds of awesome end game tactics, but some of them may not be used to it. The second one's a very famous end game tactic, but something which probably one or two people won't be familiar with.
Think so?
I think one or two people might have to figure it out in the game. It's possible that someone hasn't seen it, I think.
But by the way, I also remember one of the players using this idea in the preliminary event. I'm not sure who that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was an game we've been following, so.
Yeah. So the answer to the second one is to play rook d5 check, and then bring the rook over to b5 to block the other rook from sacking for your pawn, because if white played b8 equals queen and black sacked the rook for the pawn, that resulting endgame is a draw. So you can't win by
on the other hand,
queening here.
If black had a king on g2, the evil changes. Right? If this in the same position, black had a king on g2,
In the
not
same
on
position?
g5. Yeah.
Yeah, if the king were anywhere where white couldn't check and then block on b5, black would be drawing.
No, okay, because I had the sorry. Yeah, this doesn't work. Because what I wanted to say was that you need to pay attention to the result of the exchange. Like if in the pawn end game,
Yeah.
if the rooks get exchanged, you have a king on b5, black has a king on g2, you would still promote the pawn, but if the black pawn is getting also promoted, you end up in a draw. But then there is no, with my king on g2, there is no check. So yeah, pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, if the king were on g6 or g7, there's another way to win these positions, which is to sometimes play a move like rook to d5, keeping the king from approaching the h-pawn. And then when the pawn gets to like h3 or something, then you attack it with rook d3 and you go behind the pawn with your rook, and you can win that way and have the time to play king c7 and queen the pawn. But that's more like for our endgame challenge than for today. That's not just like a simple tactic. That's more of a technique. So, but for this one, I think there's only one answer, which is rook check and rook b5. Then we get to position 3. Position 3. Wow, I still have no answers here. Oh, here comes the first one.
Who's the first successful solver?
A student of yours, Ty,
Ooh.
sends in the first answers.
Sharp.
And he has put I don't know for the questions that didn't have answers. So I don't know if he understood. I'll try to ask him in a very neutral way.
I was doing a lot of training, tactical training in his independent work, and he was doing very well in the blindfold.
Yeah. I tried
tactics.
To be clear that it was a different option to say I don't know or there's no answer.
Okay, not so sharp. I was just nervous about something like. Okay.
Let's see. So we'll see what they say about that. Some answers coming in. Second answer to come in is from Lula. And they, wow, and the first self-reporting is they're not feeling so confident about what they've done. So maybe I made the test a little bit too hard, but
You made it challenging, I think. But by the way, how much time is left?
1 minute left. I will tell them that.
So I think whatever they have, they should just send it right now.
Yeah.
If you don't send the answers on time, do you get just 0?
Another rule that I should have made
you
clear.
Didn't mention that, right? You didn't mention
I didn't mention what happens if you don't turn any answers.
Can I just write a private message to Ty, asking how he feel that it's...
Ty's connected to audio now, so he can hear you. But yeah, you can
okay.
also send him a private message if you want.
Okay, I'll just send a message.
Ty, can I ask you one quick clarifying question? On questions where you put "I don't know," that doesn't mean that you're saying there's no tactic. It's saying you're going for 0 points on those questions, neither right nor wrong, right?
Correct. I suspect that some of them had no tactic because I know that I did understand that was an option.
Right, you understood it was an option.
Quite have the guts to actually give that answer and risk losing points if there was something I had missed.
Right on. Okay, we'll go to the big show because we're going to start bringing everybody in. 0 seconds here on the tactics challenge. Maybe I should add my little scoring thing here. Let's see. It's a window capture. It's an existing window capture, and it is scores. All right. Okay, so we'll bring that in. The time is going to be all about pretty much a dead heat here. So we're not going to worry about figuring out the time stamps until we've got the scores and see if it actually matters, which I don't expect that it is going to. All right, so let's get started on doing some grading here. And then as I go over some people's answers, Matt, you can just hop in and explain maybe the answers to some of the puzzles if you like as I do them. All right, so we're gonna start with grading. The other benefit of being the first one to send it in, Ty, you get to be the first one graded. So
this is a benefit.
So Ty on the first one gives knight f6, attacking the pawn. G3, knight to G4. That's a surprising move. We may need to call up the board to figure out if that move is...
I'm afraid it will be wrong.
Correct.
So I assume the idea is to wait for G2 and then go knight f2 check, knight h3. And if you put the knight in front of the pawn, it should be just fine. But what if black just goes king e2, preventing knight f2 check?
That was one of the first ones I put an answer down for. I sure don't remember what else I had in mind that isn't on my test.
Okay, there's a lot of moving parts here. It's hard for me to also pull up a board and show the players and everything. So maybe we're just gonna go with we're grading it behind the scenes, folks. You don't need to see.
Do you want me to check it with the engine?
You don't need to see. You don't need to see what we're saying. We've got knight to G4, and his idea was on G2 to go knight F2 check, knight H3. But black can move the king off of D3 so that there won't be a check. I think you said king E2. Yeah. I think king D4, maybe even king D2. Various other moves might win. And then the G pawn's going to go home and queen. So Ty's going to get 2 points for getting the right answer on the first move, but no extra points for the follow-up moves. If anyone replied all with their answers, that's no problem. It's fine. Don't worry about it. All right, so in the scoring, well, chess numbers is first in line anyway. That works. All right, so next question. Rook to d1. Rook to d1. Let's see. Rook to d1.
No,
And
rook takes d7 and draw.
rook takes b7, king takes b7, king g4.
Yeah, that's draw.
And it's a
draw.
theoretically one endgame. No, it is
Could
a
have
draw,
sworn
unfortunately.
that turns into a position I've studied in one of my endgame courses, but there may have been a slight difference from the position I studied that makes it drawing.
Yeah, it is actually a draw here. I mean, it is actually not a... Yeah, it is actually a draw here. Question 3, don't know. Question 4, rook takes g7, check. That is correct. So there's 2 points right there for the correct first move. Rook takes g7, check, king g7, bishop h6, king g8, queen g6, and then checkmate. Great. And rook g7, king g7, bishop h6, king g7, bishop takes f8, check, king g8, queen g6. Bravo. Gets all the points on that one there. And so that is one exclam, a second exclam, a third exclam. So we're going to be giving 5 points for full scores on that question. Question 5 is blank. I don't know. Question 6, knight h7, check. It's down here, knight h7, check, king e8, queen g7, threatening checkmates at f8 and f6. Very good. And you got the only good defense for the opponent, knight g6. You get a point for having knight g6 in your variation. Knight g6 has an exclam in my score sheet. You mentioned bishop h6, knight f6, and d6, knight f6. Great. I didn't put those in my score sheet, but I'm going to give you an extra point for those because they should have been in there. So that is 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus, yeah. It's going to be another 4 points. No, 5 points there. Bum, 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 bum. 12 points. Number 7, don't know. Number 8. Number 8. Queen takes c3. That is not... Queen takes c3, rook takes c3, rook d4.
Which one, first of all?
He's giving rook d4. Black has knight e2, rook a4, p3, but the piece is enough. Wow. Okay, a variation that I hadn't checked properly. Let me see if I've got that one up here to double check it. Nope, not easily so. All right, we're gonna go to a chessboard to double check this one. Chess.com board. And we are going to clear the board and try and put the pieces in place. The answer to this question was supposed to be that there's no answer. See how quickly we can set this up and check. Or I could just assume that my answers are right.
And what actually happens after queen c3, rook 7 to d4? Bishop c2?
I don't know. It's a good
Bishop
question.
c2, rook takes b4, bishop takes, knight takes.
I can't hear anything because I'm
d8.
just setting up pieces. Sorry, hang on. Knight here. Bishop over here. Pawn. King. I don't even know where white's knight is in this position. Queen on d2. Knight's probably on e3. Okay.
It is on E3.
Let's say it's something like this position here. And, no, I must have something wrong. Let's see. 8. Should be 4. Knight, bishop, bishop. No, that looks right. So I computer checked this incorrectly somehow. So there you see. So he played queen c3, rook c3, rook d4. How could I possibly have gotten this wrong? Oh, wait. Legal moves only. Okay. So his answer is queen c3, rook c3, rook d4. And if knight a2, rook e4, rook b3, and he says, it's a good calculation. And he says
Wait,
the
but
piece
what
is
if
enough.
bishop c2? What if bishop c2?
On bishop c2,
After-
there's a knight on it, but there's that. Okay, bishop c2, rook c1. I messed this thing up.
Well, I'm not the judge, but if their answer is correct, I think it's correct.
Yeah. So if their question, yeah. So anyway, so rook d8 check is not supposed to work because of king here, queen takes, rook a8, and the bishop was defending it. That was the trap that some people fell into, I imagine. But I thought I computer checked this. The computer is saying that after king h7, you can now play rook d4 without trading queens and win for white. So if anybody, thanks, Neve. So if anybody got that answer, then I guess, what did I get wrong to make this happen like this?
Maybe you got the bishop and the knight mixed.
Pawn is on h2 in the position I gave them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see if that changes it. All right, rook d8 is a draw now. I did computer check it. The pawn's on h2. So now rook d8, king here, rook d4. Doesn't win, I suppose, because of the back rank changing things. Queen takes, rook c1. And if knight f1, bishop d3. Wow. Okay, so the answer is there's no answer on that one. That's going to be a -2 points for chess numbers.
Wait, so because I'm not sure if I'm getting it right now. So what happens if queen c3, rook 7 to d4?
Okay. Okay. Queen c3, rook c3, rook d4, knight a2. Exactly the variation that he analyzed. Rook b3.
But then rook takes e4. Aren't you up a piece?
Yes, but black is better. They play knight a3 and push the a pawn.
Okay.
Yikes.
Wow. Okay.
The calculation was really good. And the
It's just the
evaluation was wrong.
Mm.
Like you talked about. That's really good variation, though. Man, I feel like I shouldn't give him -2 points for such a good calculation. I'm going to give him 0 instead of -2. His calculation was too good. Wait, where's my window? This is taking so much time to do. All right, let's keep going down his points. Everyone else is nervous to know how many points they got. Number 9, he gives bishop takes e4. This is very, very difficult. We'll go back.
That would also be my move, but I'm not sure.
Number 9, bishop takes e4. Yeah, the nice thing about that move is that it's correct. Bishop takes e4 is correct. Exclam. Bring up these positions nice and big. Bishop takes e4 is correct. And then let's see what he gives as the variations. Bishop takes e4, d takes e4, queen d7 is correct. Knight d7 wouldn't be correct. Bishop e4, g6, queen d7, also correct. Bishop e4, d4, queen d7, knight d7.
Then rook f to d8.
Bishop e4, d4, queen d7, knight d7, rook f d8, knight e5. Oh no, it's knight takes d7 that's correct, not queen d7. I'm remembering now.
So knight d7.
This is exactly one of the traps.
Right?
This is one of the traps. This is vicious. It's at the end of his own variation, rook f d8, knight e5. Black can play bishop takes e5, and the bishop on d2 is undefended.
So I guess it's knight d7, and if bishop c8, queen d5, yes?
Queen d5.
E4 maybe.
Hitting the rook on a8 and the bishop on d6.
And the bishop, right, so you cannot play queen e4 because you need to hit the bishop.
Number 9 and 10 are really hard, by the way, for everybody, for all the contestants. Don't worry if you didn't get number 9 or 10. Those are a big step up from 1 through 8. Okay, so bishop takes e4 is correct. That's 2 points. And then 1 more point for the right answer after g6, but not after d takes e4, unfortunately. So that's 3 points, which brings him to 15. And the last question, king to b7 is the correct first move.
I think it's the right move, right?
That's the correct first move, yeah. King b7 is right. And then knight e5, king c7, yes. King b7, king b4, king c7, king b3, b7. Nice. Nice. And he's going to earn 3 points on the impossible 10th problem. Well, there's a shocker. All right. Chess Numbers kicks us off with 18 points.
Endgame principles and elimination, I think.
Yeah. Well, bravo. That's really nice to see. So the score here, our first score, 18 points for Chess Numbers. Next up, Lula.
And by the way, did he skip 7?
Yes, he had skipped 7. I think that 2 of the questions he skipped had no answer. But 7 did have an answer. Okay. So Lula said don't know on the first one and got the second one right.
I got the second one right.
Got the second one right. Was rook d5 check and then rook b5, and both variations correct. So actually there's a second variation there. That's going to be 4 points on question 2. Puzzle 3. The answer on puzzle 3, by the way, is that there's no answer to puzzle 3.
Yeah, I'm very upset about that. I was so optimistic.
Puzzle 3, queen f7 check is probably the best move for white. It puts the queen on a good square. But the correct answer for our purposes is that there's no tactic for white, because after queen f7 check king h8, the rook on e8 is defended by the queen, and f8 square is defended by the bishop on a3. So that one is a no answer. 2 points off. Question number 4, bishop h6. Position number 4.
I didn't know number 1 because I calculated the pawn going the wrong way.
Oh no! I'm sorry. That's my greatest weakness in all of puzzles, is not knowing which side I am in the end games.
And then I was panicked at the end, and I was like, it's going the wrong way.
Yeah. Okay, so on number 4, bishop h6 is not correct because black has the defense of bishop to f6.
That's very upsetting.
If you play that move, I think. I forget what the defense is, but the correct move is rook takes g7 on that one.
What was the idea? What was the move Lula proposed?
She proposed bishop h6. and then played king h8 for black, and then bishop g7 check and checkmate.
I just
Maybe
didn't
there's
find bishop.
Maybe there's just
F6.
bishop f6. Bishop
Yeah.
h6,
Yeah,
bishop f6.
I just didn't find it.
I think bishop f6 is probably the defense to that, and this is one of those puzzles where you need to sort of like strike before the opponent plays a defensive move, and it's rook takes g7, because the bishop and queen are still enough.
Yeah, rook takes g7. I just couldn't see the mate after rook takes g7.
Puzzle 5 has
Yeah.
no answer, so you get 2 points back on that one as well. That's correct. Puzzle 6, knight h7 check on the first move is correct. You get 2 points for that. Puzzle 7, you don't know, so that's neutral. Puzzle 8, no tactic. That is correct. Very good. Puzzle 9, queen takes d7. Okay.
Oh yeah, this one was hard.
I think it's bishop. Yeah, the last two are insane. Puzzle 9, queen d7, knight d7, knight d2, knight f8. That is a good idea, but bishop takes e4 is better.
Okay.
Trading that knight so that d2 won't be hanging, and then on the next move, playing knight takes d7.
Cool.
And then the last one, you have the correct first move, king b7. Wow, 2 people got the impossible one already. King b7, and if knight d8, king c7, correct. And if king b4, king c7, king b3, b7. All right, so you're going to get 4 points for that one. Good job.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got
Wait,
Blue
how many
Jay.
points did I get? Sorry.
You have a total of 10 points right now. Next up, we've got Blue Jay. White's playing for a draw. Knight f6, g3, knight h5, g2, knight f4 check. Yes. Puzzle 2, White's playing for a win. Rook d5 check. King moves rook b5, rook c1, king b6. Correct. Puzzle 3, there is no answer. Correct. Puzzle 4, forced checkmate. Rook g7, king g7, bishop h6, king g8, queen g6, or king h7, bishop f8, queen f7. Got all of them. Very good. 5 points there. Puzzle 5, the knight e5 trick does not work here. So there is no answer. Correct. You even knew what I was trying to trick you with. Puzzle 6, white is winning. Knight h7, check, king e8, queen g7. Threatening mates. Knight g6. You get a point for knight g6. Bishop f6. Very nice. Another point for that. $20, our highest score. Now, if you get all the next questions wrong, you could lose some of those points.
For the negatives, yes. Fingers crossed.
Puzzle 7. White is winning. Queen takes g6. Yes. H takes g6. h5. Rook f7. Hg6. King g8. gf7. King f8. And you found knight e6 at the end. Yes.
It's like,
Let me try and count all your exclams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus the correct answer. One of the exclams is the first move. Okay. So that's going to take you to 26. Puzzle 8. I don't see a tactic here. No answer. Correct. Jeez. Well, I'd be surprised if you're not in the top 4 here. Number 9. White wins a piece and is winning. Bishop e4 first. D e4, knight d7. That is correct for another 3 points. And number 10, not b7 because knight d8. King b7, double question mark. Maybe you mean double exclam. Knight D check, king E7, knight E6.
It was definitely
check.
intentional question mark.
What's
I
that?
had no idea. It was definitely intentional question mark. I had no idea.
Oh, it's question mark
was
like
a
I don't
bad-
know if I'm right.
Yeah, freaking
Well,
out. I don't know.
It is an exclam. It's a good move. It is the correct answer, and you get another point in that variation as well. So you get 34 points. Wow. That's very close to a maximum score on the test. Well done. See you on the second test. All right, next up, we've got Velcro dot. Number 1, knight f6, g3, knight h5, g2, knight f4 collects all the points there. Whoops. Number 2, b8 equals queen, rook takes is not correct.
Sorry, was I supposed to join the audio for this? My bad.
Oh, it's up to you.
Oh, okay.
You may or you may not. I'm grading your test right now as it so happens. Queen f7, check, king h8. There was no
Yeah.
answer on that
We got
one.
a series. I know, no answer. Okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
missed some no. I didn't know that no answer was a possibility.
No! Okay, I won't give you minus points for that.
I didn't think that was a thing. I thought it was either that you didn't know or you had to write an answer.
Yeah. There is an answer. You know there isn't an answer, or you don't know if there is or isn't
Yeah,
an answer.
I only know there was the first two.
Number 4 is the rook sack, then the check.
I wrote it wrong, but I really meant G.
I get it. You don't lose
Okay.
points for notation.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Then knight takes e5, but the answer there was
Apparently there's a no
answer. Yeah. Let's see if your variation's right. Knight e5, bishop e2, knight c6, bishop d1, knight d8. Yeah, the position's like equal. It's not good. So it's not like a winning tactic. Your variation is correct. That's the variation to calculate. And then, you're supposed to count pieces and be like, am I
Right.
up a piece or is it equal or am I down a piece? And
That was the best that I thought because I didn't realize, but that's fair.
yeah. Lauren, Ty got 2 points for getting the first move right in the first puzzle, but he didn't get extra points because he didn't have the correct follow-up. So if someone gets the first move correct, they get a minimum of 2 points on a puzzle for being right. And then extra points for correct moves along the way. Knight h7, check, king e8, queen g7. That's going to earn you 3 points for having that one correct. Plus 1 extra move in the variation. Then we've got queen takes g6, hg6, h5. Correct. For 5 points.
Wait, yes, right. Oh, right. There was a bonus one on that one. There was a night move.
There's
or
bonus
something?
for extra exclams along the
Okay.
way.
Right.
Or actually, sorry, you've got 2 bonus points, so you got 4 points on that one. Then number 8 has no answer. Number 9.
Yeah, I came up with two non-answers, I guess.
Yeah.
Almost answered.
Yeah, I'm not taking off points on ones for you that have no answer if your move's not bad, which it's not. Number 9, knight d7, though I did take off 2 points because it's wrong. And number 10,
Fair.
b4 check is wrong. So you finish
yeah.
with 6 points. All right, Seth, also with a picture of a notebook. His picture's upside down. Ah! And one of them sideways. All right. Number 1, knight
It was a
e7,
struggle.
g3, knight g6, g2, knight f4. Wow, you found the knight e7 solution. I thought everyone would go with knight f6, but that puzzle has 2 correct answers, and you got one of them. I thought everyone would like chase straight at the pawn with knight f6. Okay, number 2, b8 equals queen is wrong. You have to give the rook check and then
what was
rook in the way.
solution?
Number 3, no
What's
tactical
wrong with my
solutions.
line?
It's a draw after the rook sacks on b8.
Oh, because after the rook sacks, maybe I'll ask you later. But okay,
You can ask Matt while I'm grading if you want.
okay.
The first move is correct on number 4, so you get 2 points. Number 5, no tactical solution, is correct as well. Okay. Number 6. Hang on. Knight h7, king e8, knight f6, king f8, knight h7. No, it's not a draw. There's queen g7 to win. How do I grade that since he got the first move right, but he was going for a draw, not a win?
Dang.
I have no idea. I'm giving you 1 point. Number 8 and 9, don't know. Number 10, king b7 is correct. Knight e5, king c7 is correct. King a6, b7, knight d7.
There were a lot of variations.
Correct.
Just the one, the main one, like that seemed the most critical.
Woo.
To me.
Okay. Tied with Lula.
I realized my mic was on the ground as well right there if I was trying to talk and you guys
Yeah.
didn't hear me.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. I need solutions from Nargave and Falk, and where are their solutions? Sent separately. Okay. Answers to test 1. That's puzzle 8. He gives as winning. Puzzle 8 has no answer.
I think this is me. Sorry.
It's okay. The next one is puzzle 10. King b7. Correct. Knight d6, king c6 winning. Okay. 2 points for that. Puzzle 9. Queen d7 is not correct. Puzzle 5, I don't know. Yeah. All your calculations were correct, ending in equals. You could have said there's no tactic and gotten 2 points on that one because your calculations look right. Spot on there. Number 6, don't know. Number 7, knight f6, g3, knight h5, g2. Knight f4 check position is drawn. Yes, 3 points for that. Number 9, knight f. This is puzzle 7. And he's saying knight f7, but there's a piece on f7. Knight f7, h7, knight d5, g6, knight e6. I don't understand.
I can't even remember.
Okay, I can't recognize that at the moment. Let me go on.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Which puzzle is that?
Puzzle 7, his answer is knight f7, but there's a white bishop on f7 in puzzle 7. Do you know which?
Maybe he got the bishops wrong, like trying to
I
capture
think
his own
maybe,
bishop.
yeah. I think I just mixed up my notation.
Okay, got
So,
all
I
the
mean,
points
it's
on
no
puzzle
good.
4.
It's supposed to be knight. It was supposed to be knight f3. I think
Knight f3.
my handwriting just sucks.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then no tactic on number 3 is correct. 5 points. And on puzzle 2, rook d5, check, king g4, rook b5. Yes, rook d5, check, king g4, rook b5. Okay, that's correct. Finishing with 9 points. And now let's check out Falk's.
Yeah, I did set up the first run correctly. Like I had the pawn running the wrong way, so.
Okay, so the first run is wrong because of
Yeah.
the running direction. Sorry.
Wait,
thought
so I actually made a valid point when we were
I thought it
talking,
was super
then-
easy. Like I just go knight h6 and then
Yeah.
d5 is forced.
You just
and then
sit
I
and
have
do
the fork,
anything.
And it's like yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. You got the second one right. Number 3 you seem to skip. Number 4 is wrong. Number 5.
I wrote no
95,
tactic.
96. No tactic?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's correct. And what's
6
this?
on the next page. It's a knight h7 check and then king e8.
Okay,
Uh,
queen g7.
should be on
okay,
the second page, yeah.
correct. I see that. Okay, so 3 points on that one. But what's the one? Rook d8, check king h7, queen 7, rook a8. Yeah, you fell for that trick. The rook was defended on a8. And what's the one with h5? Bishop takes f.
Let me see.
Like
probably
it
seven,
looks like
right?
d4.
Yeah, it's number 7. I thought h5 might work.
Ah, h5 there, right? Gotcha. Bishop f7, knight f7. Yeah. It does not.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
afraid. Number 9, knight d7 is incorrect. And number 10, king b7 is correct. Okay. We've got all the scores. Does it come down to tie breaks on time or not? It is Blue Jay, chess numbers, and Seth and Lula are tied, so they don't need to do a timing recount. So our 4 players going on to the second test are chess numbers, Seth, Lula, and Blue Jay. All right. Velcro Dot, Narge, Falk, thank you very much. I hope you had fun with the tests. And I'm sorry if there's some that I haven't given you the correct answers for, but we're sort of behind time on our program, so we're going to have to keep going. And I'll try to explain all these things later, or maybe your coach as well.
I just wanted to congratulate my students because they seem to be both getting through the first round.
That's right. Any
Seth
last
and-
words to
and
them
Dai?
before Kostya takes your spot?
Just keep up the good work. It was awesome.
All right. You made your coach happy. And now you know the meaning of life. It's not just to play chess well, it's to make your coach happy. Thank you.
This is the only thing that counts. Thanks,
Very
all
good.
guys.
Now, the 4 of you may leave audio, and I will send you the test. Anybody who didn't make it into this next round, I will still send you the test so you can look at it for fun. But you don't have to do it. But 4 of you are going to have an hour starting now to do the next test. Chess numbers, Seth, Lula, Blue Jay. Any questions before I send you the next test?
No.
Yeah, not for me either.
All right.
Good luck, guys.
Good.
Let's go.
Let's
Good luck.
go. Let's go into my email, send them the next.
David, should I be switching
Good
to
luck.
Kostya right now?
Yeah, you can switch with Kostya now.
Okay. So
And-
thanks a lot for having me, and thanks, chat. Good luck, guys.
Thank you so
May
much
the
for
be-
being
may
here.
the best win.
May the best of your 2 students win, right?
Hope so. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Whoa. All right, folks. I have to send them the test, and then I can fix the broadcast, which admittedly is random at the moment. Lula's got my spot. Where is my test? Where is my test? Here it is. Send it. All right. Let's reset this timer to 1 hour. Start. I'll say test sent. 60 min starting now. And I will go ahead and redo all my cameras. I'll show you all the second test while I do it. I'll show you all the second test while I do it. We'll go here. We'll turn off this. And we'll show you guys test 2. Where's test 2? There you go. Test 2. Enjoy that for a moment, folks. Kostya, welcome.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Good, good. How are you?
mildly harried that it took a while to grade that.
Yeah. Yeah, it always takes longer.
Yeah, grading is the worst part of teaching too.
This is the second test, so 10 more problems, 1 more hour.
Oh, I forgot to tell them there are more problems on this test.
More problems.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oops.
You guys are gonna get wrecked.
Oh, and they're harder. Of course.
They're harder?
That you were probably guessing, right?
I could have told you before the stream probably that they're gonna be too hard without looking at the puzzles. 'Cause I know what it's like. No, with my students, it's the same. Every time, I'm always like, okay, this is a warm-up puzzle. And then it's like, no, that's the class. That one problem is the whole class.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, here we're just having them stay longer and do the best they can. What did you think of the students' performance? I know the grading was kind of like sloppy and hard for you to watch, but you saw their scores. What did you think?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, Blue Jay seemed. Did you get everything right? He got like a ton of points. What was the total score possible?
The total score I haven't even calculated. There were some exclams down the road that he didn't get. But that final problem has like a lot of wrinkles to it. It's a study from John Nunn's book, and if he got it right, he would have actually had his score reduced to 0. That was the cheat detection question. Like if he saw how that study ended, then yeah, he would have been out.
So no one got that one fully right.
Right. Nobody got eliminated for cheating. So he basically got close to 100%. Every single question he got right. It was just a question of did he get every single extra variation.
Okay, so yeah, very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising. Yeah, unfortunately Falk didn't do too well. He told me he got the first one mixed up, like he didn't know which way the pawn was going. I think definitely that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
But I didn't catch the rest of his answers, so I couldn't quite judge for myself how he did.
Right. Yeah, I would say he definitely, if you want me to fill you in, I would say that he struggled, but
yeah, he definitely wasn't happy about it. I think he knew before the grading, but that's okay. We'll go through them.
I guess it made it too hard.
Good.
At first when I graded Lula, and she had 10 points, and aka Blue Jay, and he had 34, I think, it probably felt like, oh man, 10's not enough. You're gonna need to score in like the 20s. And I was expecting the scores to be around 20. I didn't expect 34, and I didn't expect so many scores under 10. So
yeah, well, it's tough.
Yeah.
Chess is really, really tough.
But if I'd only given
the same for everyone, so it's good.
If I only gave them the problems with solutions, and they knew there were solutions, and there wasn't the element of like, do some of these not have solutions, those scores would have been much higher. A lot of people got tripped up giving solutions to the ones without solutions and losing 2 points at a time there. And that's the element they're probably like completely not used to, since they mostly probably train with puzzles that always have answers.
Yeah. Right. Maybe it would have been a good idea to test the test on a similarly rated player to see how they did.
Yeah.
I know that's what all like the professional reality shows do. They just have like fake contestants go through the challenges to see if it's like reasonable and stuff.
Yeah. I guess I would need a handful for it to be meaningful, because like there was such variance. If I just picked Falk or if I just picked like Blue Jay, it would have really like confused things. I would have like completely made it harder, right? If I just happened to pick Blue Jay, right? And I would have like completely axed it if I'd just picked Falk. But I'm sure there's many people who would love to do a tactics test, so it wouldn't have been hard to find a handful.
Yeah, some balance.
Yeah.
But well, there's always issues with every format, as we know.
Yeah.
No perfect format out there for anything, it seems.
All right. So I'm going to take us to the view of the puzzles again for anybody who wants to play along at home. Here are the next set of puzzles. Try and make the timer less obnoxious somehow. Well, it's always going to be on somewhere here if I show it. Maybe I'll just take it off for a moment and then bring it back. So these are the first 8 problems for this next set, which you all can take. Oh my god, it's way too hard, Coach. Oh, these are harder than the first ones.
Yeah. Good training, huh?
Well, at least in an hour, it'll all be over, you know, and I've done your job for you and Andras and Matt and Sasha.
I mean, that's what I told my students, that these challenges are basically just training. Like, you're going to train some tactics, train some end games, train some blitz, and yeah, it's still all about the final tournament anyways.
Yeah. So the question I asked Matt earlier about, like, you know, did you try and get your students ready for the tactics challenge or just look ahead to the finals?
Yeah, we discussed it. We had one session earlier that was mainly just focused on puzzle solving. That was really more for me to just get a sense of what their skills are like when it comes to tactics and calculation. So we discussed a bit. I told them, you know, you're probably not going to know the format until the day of, and whatever it is, you know, it'll be tough. That's basically all I said. Just like expect to be surprised. But yeah, I mainly just wanted to focus just in general to see how they calculate, how good they are at seeing tactics or different ideas. There are definitely some puzzle themes that both Falk and Dripman like struggled on, and so yeah, it gave me a sense of like, okay, maybe some topics to work on for the future. We did just a very simple exercise. We were just doing Puzzle Rush, and the goal was for each of them, one by one, to get through the full 5 minutes without striking out. So it was more working on not guessing and, let's say, moving too quickly, as people tend to do, not just in Puzzle Rush, but just in chess, and specifically rapid and blitz chess in general.
And that would be in the right direction for the test I gave today.
I hope so. Yeah, I think the training might have been a little bit helpful, because yeah, I mean, the main goal again is just not to strike out. And one thing I noticed with my students and many other players at this level is that they often get the sense that like they're not fully understanding the problem. Like they see some idea, but they're like, I feel like this isn't working. But then they go ahead and like submit the move anyway because they're like, well, I don't know, this is my best guess. And then it often turns out that move is wrong, and then they were missing something actually quite simple. Maybe they just didn't see some piece was hanging, or there was some really obvious check in the position. They're missing some kind of typical resource either for them or for their opponent. And so my idea was to try to help them access that feeling of like when you're not sure, then you need to stop and think more rather than try to hurry up and guess. Hopefully that helped with today's exam. I'm not sure. These puzzles are of course a lot tougher than the the puzzle rush stuff we were doing.
Okay.
So this is more I think had to do with accurate calculation. Because it's not like there was just like one move answers for a lot of the puzzles. You had to see some variations. So yeah, I'm not sure if they were super well prepared, but I think it was anyway, good training, good calculation. My whole feeling for this competition, it's just like it doesn't end in January. I want these guys to learn some stuff and get some skills that they can use well beyond that.
Yeah, when I was talking with that topic with Matt about, were you aiming for the intermediate competitions or just the end, and I said I just, from the first day I said I don't care what any of the intermediate competitions are, we're winning the finals, to Max and Kimmy. And somebody in chat was like, don't you care about whether they like improve after the finals? Like you just want to win that one competition? So it looks like you have that looking even further ahead.
So you
mentality here.
You had the opposite feeling. It was for you. It was just about the final.
I mean, I also whenever I teach, I try to do well by my students and set them up for success. It's an everlasting joy for me to see, Max like grinding OTB tournaments ever since, and improving a lot. So, it's not that I didn't care with the teaching, but I definitely didn't care about the intermediate competitions. These were just like for fun, or maybe, as you say, maybe like a nice little training opportunity along the way for my students to, test themselves against some problems that you chose for them, or some of the other opponents in a blitz tournament. But I didn't care about winning or losing the intermediate events.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's mainly for fun. And yeah, for me, I would say like of course I'm going to do everything I can to win. I don't think it quite like, I'm not putting a ton of important, like it would be great to win, but if I don't win, then I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I retire as a coach.
Right.
And if our team does win, I'm not going to say that I'm a better coach than anyone else, like Andres or Matt or Alex.
That's
right?
the point of the whole show, Coast.
It's fun for fans. I'm not going to say it personally.
But you
but what you were saying, I think it's actually very cool that now Chess Gains, who in season 1 he was in the 1800 to 2000 group, is now like pushing to hit 2200. Like, to me, that's way cooler. Mm-hmm. That he's now like super close. And I think Kimmy went up as well after the show. So yeah, that to me is the fun part, seeing like how well they do 6 months, 12 months a year from now.
Yeah.
And no, to clarify, I won't say it, nor will I think that I'm a better coach because it's a very quick competition. It's just like, it's a competition. It's one tournament, right? When you win a tournament, you don't say like, oh, I'm a better chess player than everyone else in that tournament. Just like, you won the tournament, you performed really well.
I definitely say that, Ghost. Every time I win a tournament, I'm like, oh, I'm better than everybody here this week. Not like forever, but I mean for this week.
Not forever, but for the week. Yeah. So for the competition, right, we can talk about who had the best coaching ideas. For sure.
Yeah. Because, I mean, otherwise, Coast, you're kind of invalidating our whole show. If you're saying after the whole show is over, it doesn't tell us who's a better coach.
No, I'm not trying to invalidate. It's a fun show. I think most reasonable people would say that this is an impossible question in general. Like, to say like who's like a better it's just so subjective.
I don't think it's impossible.
But I mean, there's a long way between a fully fledged study, right, or meta study with multiple papers versus
this is not full fledged. That's right. It's not. It doesn't give you necessarily robust results.
Absolutely not. And it's also quite possible, as it was in the first season, that the students are of a different different level. I think a lot of the students last year felt like there was actually a clear discrepancy between some of the better players and everyone else. This year, I think it's a little bit too early to say, but it can always happen.
But it looks closer to you, like the starting spread this year.
I don't know, actually. I would say it's pretty close, but we'll
But like
see.
compared to the
I'll tell
first
you,
season.
I'm very worried about Blue Jay. I'll just be upfront about it.
Okay.
He crushed the tactics. Very impressive, you know. He played really well in week 1. It was actually very tough to choose between him and Falk. For me, but I it's too early to say. I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My feeling is that it is closer. It is.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me just throw a follow-up in chat for people who want to follow the coaches. The real point of this program, this Ultimate Sensei, is to watch all the lessons. I've seen some lessons of Kostya's and Andras's and Matt's already. So I've seen 3 of the 4 coaches in action. And let me tell you, I already know there's a best coach. No, I'm just kidding. But on the one last question on the subject of, if you can tell who's the best coach or something. You said you wouldn't say that you're a better coach, but in your head, would you at all think it? Is that partly you being polite in public? Would you in your head have any thought like, wow, I did a great job coaching?
Yeah. No, earlier I clarified. I would definitely think I did a good job, but no, in my head, I would not be thinking like, yeah, I crushed Andres, I crushed Alex, I crushed Matt. I won't think that.
You won't think that.
No. Okay. The only thing I'll be thinking is like, wow, Falcon and Drimmen crushed it in the finals. That's really up to them.
Let's say we played a tournament game this year and you won, and then next year we played another tournament game and you won, and the year after we played a game which was a draw, and 2 years later we played a game that you won. Would you ever in your head have some thought like, I'm just better than that guy at chess?
Depends. There is a player who's higher rated than me. I have a score against him like 4.5 half or something, or 5.5 out of 6. And it's like, okay, I feel like I do really well against him, but he's like much higher rated than me. He's like 100 points, 150 points. So I think it depends. If I'm higher rated than someone and I'm crushing them, then I'm gonna say like I'm a better chess player. For me, the rating is really more than like individual results. So if someone's 2400, but I happen to beat them twice or a couple times, then it's like, okay, maybe I have an uncomfortable style for them, but I'm not like better. I would say
not better. Okay. Yeah, that's very rational. And if you're like 10 points lower than somebody or 10 points higher than them, you probably think that you're about equal, not like particularly better or worse.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mitch thinks you're better than him.
Fair enough. No, I mean, I believe in ratings more than the individual
more
results.
Than results.
So I'll confidently say that I'm better than most people, lower than my rating.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, 20 minutes in. I don't expect any early answers this time, but we'll just get my email ready just in case.
See some of these puzzles here.
Yeah.
Don't think I've solved any of them actually, because we're talking. I'm not really looking. But
yourselves busy.
I am very curious because for me this is a good training.
Yeah,
actually, I don't do this very often when the puzzles don't have a solution, so it's definitely forcing me to be a lot more careful.
It's a very bad sign for the incredibly hard work I did on this test that Kostya considers this good training.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. It's I think you did choose good puzzles. A lot of time I see a puzzle, I just solve it immediately, even if it's like not one I've seen before, or even like a particularly super thematic. It just, I don't know. There's not a ton of candidate moves in the position. You look at the first thing and then it happens to work. But in these puzzles, there's just like a ton of candidate moves, so it's hard to just kind of like breeze through them, lightning speed or anything.
I think a couple of these come from my game this time around.
Oh, okay.
Definitely puzzle number 2 2 and 3. Puzzles 2 and 3 are definitely from games of mine. And I think they're direct positions. They're not even like adaptations. A lot of times I like take a position from a game and change it, but 2 of these are from games of mine. I dug up an old tactic book at like 1 a.m. last night, like, because I was like, dang, it takes so much time to create every position myself and then like computer check them and something's wrong and then try and fix them and like, oh my god. So I was like, maybe I'll just like find 1 or 2 like positions from like a book. So like I dug up some old book and I opened it and there were score sheets of mine from a tournament in France. I must have been like reading that book in France 10 years ago. And I was like, oh, cool. And I pulled out my score sheets and like one of the first ones, I'm like, oh, that player like really thrashed me. Like there's got to be a good tactic in that game, and there was. So here it is.
Nice. So you said number 2 and number
2 and number 3 are from games of mine.
Interesting.
Yeah, and somebody in chat has solved number 3. Supposedly. Maybe there's no tactic.
Yeah, supposedly.
Maybe I checked the position 2 moves before the tactic.
Is number 3 easy? I can tell you I looked at 2 different moves for number 3 and neither of them seem to work.
There were supposed to be 2 easy tactics in the first test, the 2 endgame tactics.
First 2, right?
But then people only scored like 50% on them overall as a group because I guess people just don't have that like intersection between endgames and tactics. Is just, I don't know.
Yeah, actually that was our first lesson with Falk and Dripman. We just did endgame tactics specifically. One, to again see what their calculation is like, but also to get a sense of whether they're struggling with some end games or not. And yeah, the reason I did that is exactly because like those first 2 problems should have been, I don't know, should have been pretty solvable. Okay, like the second one I solved immediately, like rook b5, rook b5. Okay, that's very easy. But the first one is not hard to calculate, but as we saw, it's easy to go wrong there.
Yeah. I just thought there are so few legal moves. Like your king can't do anything, right? So it's just like knight versus pawn. Can your knight chase that pawn? And then the knight's got limited moves. I mean, it's on the edge of the board, and 2 of your 3 legal moves with the knight are correct in the starting position.
Yeah, the tough thing was also just like the solution I thought was very simple because it was very forcing. It's like you attack the pawn twice and then you fork and win the pawn.
Yeah.
I think players tend to kind of either they get flustered or they overthink things. I think that second one is really common as well. And there's also very, very much a lack of structure when it comes to their calculation. So I don't know what it's like, for Matt or any other IM, but for me, it's like, okay, I looked at the most forcing move in that one, knight of6 attacking the pawn. Black has to push forward. I looked at another way to attack the pawn, has to push the pawn forward. And then I saw knight f4 wins the pawn. Like, okay, well, done. There's nothing else there, right?
Yeah.
I have no pawns. I have 1 knight left. If I win the pawn, it's a draw. That's what we're playing for. And there's very little confusion there. But if you start calculating like, oh, knight f6, knight h5, and then you don't finish that line, you jump to a different move, that's how you get that wrong. You start like jumping around, which I've seen players do quite a bit. They like start calculating a line, and as soon as they're like, they get that first feeling of like, I'm not sure, they just like immediately jump away and start looking at a different move, or they try to simplify their task, like, oh, maybe I should start with this move and then I don't have to worry about this, but they haven't really fully analyzed that first line yet. And so that's, endgame puzzles are great at showing that, because there's not many lines to calculate. They're very simplified. So if someone has clear calculation, I think you do see it in the endgame, and if not, I think you also kind of see it in the endgame. Wow, number 11 is a study.
Yeah. white
this
to
is
play.
straight up a study that I remember someone showed me
Yep.
when I was like 2300.
Yeah. It's the end of a study.
This is the end, right?
Yeah, there's 3
But
moves left.
I think it starts with like both sides having passed pawns, and then you just push,
Yeah.
and then you have to see that black promotes as well.
Yeah, you have
and
to
then
you have to
find
throw in the
next part.
b6 check move first.
There's also b6.
And
Okay.
black has to like hide their king to play for stalemate rather than taking it.
Right.
Then
right.
you queen. It's difficult. It's difficult. But if they're down to the top 4, I thought maybe they could get 1 or 2 moves of it right. Yeah, these are questions 9 through 12, folks. Your first chance to have a look at these. Baron, tell me, like 6, 7, 8. When you say they're nice, are you able to solve the problems in here? I would hope you could. Not as a way of evaluating you, but as a way of evaluating my test, because this test is supposed to be for players who are, 100 to 200 points below you. So I would hope that the test feels doable for you.
Can we see 6, 7, 8? I don't think I've gone in.
You want to go back to 6, 7, and 8? Sure.
Yeah, I'm just. Now
Here's
that I know
6,
that
7, and 8.
Baron solved them, I feel like, okay, I can probably do them.
Yeah, you can, Coach. You can solve my questions. There's only one question on each test that you can't solve. It's the cheat detection test question.
Right. Yes, and yeah, that last one, number 10, right, for the previous test. Yeah, I can tell you, I did not solve it, and I was thinking, this is the one.
Yeah. You're good enough that you can solve all of them except for one and identify that that's the cheat detection question.
Yeah. Or I mean, maybe it was just like, well, I can't solve it, so it's probably it's probably the hard one.
Yeah, a comfortable narrative.
Right. Let's see. So yeah, number 6 is not obvious to me. I won't give away what exactly is not obvious, but there's something there that's
Number 6 took me forever, dude. Oh.
Okay.
That one was like a pain in the boop. I wanted to do something with it, and I kept putting pieces in different squares, and I couldn't get it to be what I wanted.
Right.
Okay, if Baron got 3 of them in about 5 minutes, that's very good news. That's reasonable. 1800 strength thinks it's comparable as well. I think this test is clearly harder than the first one, but if it's not, then I guess I'll be glad because the first one was too hard.
I mean, to me, it feels harder because I felt like the first test had 2 gimmies.
2 sort of
like
gimmies and 2 less questions.
And 2 less questions also.
Right. So.
Yeah. By the way, for coaches out there, this is actually a really fun activity. If you have like a chess camp and you have like 10 students or 8 students, whatever, you can split them up into groups of 2, give them all the same test. You can also do it individual, but kids like working together. Split them up into teams of 2, give them all the same test, and have them work on it for like 90 minutes or so. Great way to spend a lot of time, and it's a lot of fun. And I think it's a lot more fun for kids than just doing the typical, all right, here's a position on the board, everyone bring me their solutions one by one, and anything like that. So, all right, student faces. Oh man, look at man, Blue Jay. He just looks like Ivanchik right now. He's just like calculating in his head.
No, he's less relaxed than during the first test.
Well, I think it is harder.
Yeah. You're right. He's looking up. He's calculating much harder. Yeah. He's shaking his head. Something's too hard. He's regretting being in the top 4. He's like, I don't want to do this. This is painful. Why did I go for this part?
Yeah. Yeah, very impressive by Lula, by the way. It sounded like she was not confident about her solving.
Yeah, she was not confident about
4.
her solving. And I think she got one of the 2 first ones wrong and one of them right, of the 2 like endgame ones. Which is painful, not just like leaving it blank, but getting a -2 on one of those. Really hurt her score, but she pulled out some good moves on some of the later puzzles, even ones that she wasn't like confident about. Just being able to get the right answer and get those 2 points and not get a -2 is like really big, even if you don't get all the points for the long variations.
Right. David, I have to step out for a sec.
Sure.
I'll be back. 2 minutes.
Sounds
See ya.
good. All right. It's intense, chat. I think that this test is like hard enough that some of these players might be like, why did I want to like, qualify for the second round? And I'm actively considering delaying the one-on-one finals to another time instead of today, just because it's going to be later than the players expected it to go. I imagine for Lula, it's going to cross midnight. And of course for Blue Jay, it's just the middle of the night. Who knows when? And then my family's going to start getting rowdy and needing me. So we may have to set up like a finals for another day. We'll see. Yeah, Seth submits it upside down again. Yeah. And as I said, like if I weren't under like pressure and busy like bungling a broadcast, I know how to download a file and rotate an image and all that, right? But in this heat of the moment and like worried about time, I'm like reading his answers like this on my screen. Yeah, but we're not Carlson and Nepo here, Jordan. These players are passionate amateurs, not like lifelong. There's nothing but chess to me in the world, folk. So I'm not expecting them to fight hours past midnight. Well, we'll see. We'll take the temperature. At this point, 3 of these 4 players are going to win some money for their team. And I can show you all the infographic for this, I guess. So here's some info on the competition that we're watching. Maybe I should have had this ready in a slideshow at the top of the hour, but I was busy going over rules with the players. But we are currently on December 4th, special event number 1, which is the Blitz, which is the Tactics Challenge. Special event number 2, 2 weeks from today, will be an endgame challenge, which I've already devised. Although I'll think about it some more. No, it's devious and hardcore, but that's fine. I'm not gonna dumb it down just because today was brutal, And January 8th will be a Blitz tournament, followed by finals on January 2nd and 23rd. The money on the line here in this event, as I said, 3 of these players will earn money for their team. There will be 300, 200, 100. For these 4 players, and that's the case for each of the special events. So on December 18th, there will be 300, 200, 100 as well. And on January 8th, there will be 300, 200, 100 as well. Finally, the first place in each of the special events gets a high seed in the final tournament. And another evil wrinkle I have added, I like being the commissioner. Another evil wrinkle I've added is that the last place finishers on December 18th and January 8th will face an extra preliminary challenge to even get to play in the final tournament. And so that is like a huge penalty. If they fail the preliminary challenge, they won't even get to compete in the finals on January 22nd and 23rd and will only earn their team 1 point. Putting a lot of weight on the shoulders of their teammate. Oof. Only the finals are decisive for the final result. So the team prizes that you see, first place team, second place team, third place team, fourth place team, will be based only on how the players do in the finals. These special events affect seeding, are good training for some, not for others. Some people care about the prize money, some people don't. But 2 of these players will face pre-elimination right before January 22nd and 23rd finals. So yes, super
So
evil me.
What's this new thing about? What's this evil thing? Once again, I'm sorry.
You'll have to watch the pod, Kostya. The TLDR is your students don't want to finish in 8th place on December 18th or January 8th in the Endgame Challenge or the Blitz tournament. This year feels harsher on the contestants. It is, NT Wapo. It is. It is. They're sacrificing their emotional well-being to entertain you all.
Yeah. I mean, the 4 people not getting to compete, those are actually 4 extra people. So last year, there was also 4 people that didn't get to compete,
Yep.
nor did they get to try out. So I'd say last year is actually worse. I think having 12 contestants, giving 4 extra players a chance is better.
Yeah.
And in fact, if we just went by ratings, I'm pretty sure some of the players that did get in would not have been chosen for the top 8.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think Lula, who's still in this one right now, in the top 4 in the tactics, I think she had one of the lower ratings of our 12 contestants going into the event. So.
Yeah, but she did good in the draft, got drafted, and here we are. So I like having it more.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the shows that we took inspiration from, Ultimate Fighter, they would invite, I think, something like 32 fighters to the first episode. They would have like 16 of them fight, and then the winner would get their spot on the show.
Right.
Or maybe it was less players, but it was something like that. So you have to actually fight.
Yeah. Come
possibly
in,
lose,
fight,
and then
possibly lose, get no training or coaching, and go home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that, except I think a little better.
Yeah. Mitch wants to know, what if 7 people move on to the finals instead of all 8? And I can't reveal what happens, but I have thought of that possibility. This is a very non-trivial challenge, and definitely someone might not make it.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I guess we'll have to prep hard.
Yeah.
So
you'll have to take those things. You have to take those things mildly seriously based on that. If you have any student who's afraid of finishing in 8th place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not too worried about it.
Good. Good. We never know to worry until it's too late.
Nah. What will be, will be. You know?
Yeah. All right. Chat, are people feverishly working on these problems, or would people like to know some of the answers? That way, when we grade it, we won't have to explain the grading. We could start answering the questions sooner this time. There's 20 minutes left on the clock in this segment here, and we could already get some of the answers out of the way, find out if I set up the positions wrong. Anybody mind hearing the answers?
Oh man, I'll never remember, on the topic of the puzzles being too hard. I remember I was teaching a chess camp, and there's a couple like grandmaster instructors. I think it was FM back then, and I was actually assisting Logan Van Whaley. He was teaching the class, and I was just doing a quick tactics warm up with the students, and like I gave them the first puzzle. I gave them a couple minutes to think about it. No one got it, and I was like, okay, does anyone want a hint? And then Van Whaley is like, I'd like a hint. I was like, oh no. Yeah, so.
So I'm not the first person to make the test too hard.
I feel like he was joking. I mean.
But he said it deadpan. You weren't sure.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
No. He said it as a joke, but it also, you know, the funny part was that he might have actually needed a hint.
Right.
You know, he might have just been self-deprecating.
Yeah. Yikes. All right, we're going to get into one or two answers here then, Kostya.
Let's do it.
So here we go. Position number 1. This one is only 2 moves long, yet hard. Like, this position comes from Gaprindashvili, but it's like seared into my mind. I always think of it when I think of like what's like the shortest tactic that like might break some minds. as this one.
Oh, this is imagination in chess.
Imagination in chess, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That book has some of the most difficult, very short calculations. The calculations not that much, but somehow positions with the most surprising 1 or 2 move tactics. So this one, I don't even need to go to the book to like dig it up anymore. It's just like in me that this is like, wow, the hardest like 2 move puzzle ever.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that book has a lot of really nice puzzles, and puzzles especially actually like once you see the solution, it's like 1 or 2 moves. It doesn't seem that hard, but it's very elusive.
Yeah.
And I really like how in that book there's one of the chapters, I think it's like called mental agility, and it's basically a lot of puzzles where it's just like the answer is tricky. And the author writes that these puzzles are not meant to improve someone's like trickiness or creativity, but rather to like assess whether they themselves are creative already, which I think they were trying to kind of couch they're trying not to make too many promises. Like this book is going to make you like a creative tactical genius. So they're saying like, okay, it's just a test of your creativity to see if you're already quick-witted and can find these. Actually, why don't we ask the chat if we want to go through some of the solutions? We can see what they think.
One person in chat gave us the answer. Mr. Waffle Truck.
Nice.
Found it with knight d1.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, what's Waffle Truck's rating?
1900, I think.
1900. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, as you guys will see, you don't need to have like a computer brain to calculate all the variations after knight d1. It goes knight d1, black makes any move, knight e3, and then black loses a piece.
That's tough. Backwards moves.
You just have to think of like retreating, realize the person's sort of nearly stuck. Almost everybody's going to start off looking at knight e4 in this position, I would guess, right? Or maybe assessing the king and pawn ending.
Right. Yeah, I looked a little bit at like knight takes d5, rook takes king move somewhere, but didn't seem convincing. And then I also looked at knight e4, knight g3.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But didn't seem good because black just goes rook f6. But knight d1 is very nice.
So you can go knight e4, knight g3, force the black rook to f6, grab a pawn on h5 with the knight, and then black plays rook g6, and it's not particularly easy for white.
Yeah.
And knight e3 just wins by contrast. Okay, question number 2. Anybody in chat get that one? You're right, Urxor. Very good.
Oh, good. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's why I thought number 6 is not so obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in the end I nailed what I wanted that problem to be, but it was like it took me forever to get that one.
Uh-huh.
To get that one right. To be what I wanted.
You know, it's a skill to come up with good puzzles, obviously, that are like skill level appropriate. That's also tough.
Mm-hmm.
But ones that aren't too easy make you think.
Yeah.
Just the right amount.
Okay, so number 2, somebody suggested the correct first move, or a couple of people did. Yeah. 3 people with the right idea. White starts with knight takes g6. A bad move for white is bishop takes rook, by the way, for anyone who wanted to play bishop takes rook. Bishop takes rook, queen takes rook, and then the 2 pieces are still attacked by the pawn, and actually white loses some of their favorable tension, like the fact that the queen on d8 is almost trapped, or that g6 is hanging, stuff like that. So bishop e8, queen e8 is like a really bad move. I'm definitely going to take away points from anyone who gives me that answer. Knight takes g6 is very good, and you may quickly feel confident that h takes g6 is not a good response for black. But f takes g5 is the move that you want to figure out how to beat, or how you want to continue.
Yeah, this was the main one I was thinking about. I don't know if I'm missing something obvious, but my first instinct was just rook takes e6 in that position.
Mm-hmm. That's one of two solutions at that point.
Yeah.
This position has multiple solutions in it, by the way, because I was getting absolutely smashed by a very strong grandmaster. So white's got more than one way to do it, but it's also kind of like chaotic. You know, it's a good test of whether someone is just playing a move that looks good or is assessing 2 or 3 moves ahead what's going to happen, right? So some of them might guess knight g6, but some of them might get another point for the next move. And rook takes e6 would be correct. The other option is once black has played fg5, you can then trade on e8 and play rook e6. That's also full credit.
Okay, that makes sense.
And in the starting position, there's one more really good move, but I guess nobody guessed it, so I don't need to say it, but queen h3 is another very strong move for white in the starting position.
Cool.
It's equally good as the smashing knight takes g6. It really just wins the game. So just throwing that out there is like a useful flexibility to be able to spot something like that. I think that's a little bit of an imagination in chess, Gaprindashvili kind of move, to be like, black's pieces are hanging, white's pieces are hanging, and we just notice a weak spot and play queen h3. It's an unlikely move for a person to notice, much less choose. But it's
nice use
equally
of,
strong.
The drawback principle. Black played f6, e6 pawn is weak, as is g6, so that's also using that.
Yeah.
Queen h3. Yeah, I can tell it didn't cross my mind, but now that I see it, obvious. Queen.
Yeah, it's a nice move. And on
but queen h3, what if queen d6 and just like knight b5?
Queen d6, knight b5, yeah. Or knight e4.
So just no way to defend.
Yeah. One amazing cool move in the queen h3 line is queen h3, bishop d6. Now the next move is not obvious at all. But with
bishop
all
d6
those,
also a move. Yeah, actually, that's a good defense.
Queen h3, bishop d6, with all those pieces hanging, I think the best move for white might be h5, leaving them still hanging and just cracking g6. But like, obviously, I don't expect them to find that variation. I expect them, or some of them, to find knight takes g6. Right? This queen h3, h5. I was double checking the whole thing so I could score it correctly. If they, if somebody gives me those moves for some reason, then I'll know that it's right as well.
Yeah, that definitely looks a lot more complicated. If I was giving this to a student, if queen h3, if they don't see bishop d6, then that's not good.
That's not good if they didn't even look at one move defenses of e6, right? They should look at f5, queen d6, and bishop d6, honestly, if they want to play queen h3.
Yeah, and someone's asking if f5, then white just takes the exchange, and then there's no fork, so we're keeping at least an extra exchange. And black's position is strategically bad. Yeah.
You could say queen h3, h5 might be another cheat detection variation, even though it's like an alternate solution. It's also like no human would play that. I mean, not even a master, much less a 1600. But let's move on to question 3, Kostya.
Yeah, so this one was where, knight d3, queen d4 check, and then just an endgame. And then I also thought about queen f2 check, but doesn't seem to.
Right. Queen f2 you can technically do. King f2, knight d3, king e3, knight b4. Fancy.
Yeah. Yeah, so that leaves us with moves like people are suggesting like e5, like to threaten knight d3, which feels quite strong. And yeah, when I was thinking, I didn't really see what white is doing on e5.
That's right. Yeah.
Black's position just seems good. So e5 is correct?
Yeah. e5 just wins. And this was sort of a normal Sicilian, like kind of like squeeze, you know, black's trying to make a weakness on the c file. Black's pieces are maybe like a little bit better than white's. And then suddenly black gets access to e3 for the queen. And it's like, whoa, we've got just like a knockout.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, e5 is correct. And it's got a secondary threat on top of knight d3, which is rook b7 to b1. So if there's any variation you can't beat with knight d3, folks, and you want to double check your answers, check for rook b7. So for example, queen b6 stops knight d3. Rook b7, you don't need to look any further. Or like knight c1, one of the toughest defenses covering d3, it's going to be rook b7 and then rook b1. And then they can't unpin the knight. So you just get back to d3. Oh, folks, sorry. We've got some frustrated, some frustration showing there from Ty. Whew. The brutality of this test. I'm feeling bad, Coach. I'm feeling I worked so hard on this thing and I did it badly.
Yeah, I mean, it's very tough. I mean, I remember we struggled last year as well, coming up with a good format for the puzzle challenge. I think the important thing is that it's equal for everyone. Yeah, if it's very difficult for everyone, then it's still fair in that sense.
Yeah. Mitch just found the extra hidden point that was on rook takes c3 in the line e5. E5, queen b1, knight d3, knight g1, which can also go e5, knight g1, knight d3, queen b1. So the queen covers the checkmate on e1, the rook's covering the checkmate on f2, and black plays rook takes c3.
I would imagine that's not the only winning move there.
No, but that one gets you an extra point if you put that in one of your variations. I've got moves marked with an exclam, not necessarily because they're good moves, but like any move that I want to give them an extra point for finding, whether a defense for the opponent or a move for themselves. So rook takes c3 is another point waiting out there. Okay, number 4. Anybody? Time's ticking down a little bit, by the way, folks. Players have 6 minutes left on this thing.
So rook c7, probably queen a8 would be the response.
Number 4, they might need to have a little bit of an instinct to get it right. Because the answer is there's no way to win. But it looks like white might have something. It's one of those positions in a real game where you just torture yourself looking for a win, but it doesn't quite win.
Yeah.
It's a variation on a puzzle I saw in a book that was wrong, that was like busted, where the book said that there was a win, but there isn't actually a win. I think the book might be older than computer checking, or maybe it was somebody like me who doesn't computer check. But the intended win was queen h4 with the idea of queen f6 checkmate.
Yeah.
And then they were playing queen e6 for black to cover f6, and then white has the amazing winning move, rook h7 check.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that were the answer, I would actually consider the puzzle too hard, and I wouldn't have given them that puzzle. I would give them the puzzle where it's like rook h7 on the board, but not where you have to play queen h4 setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave it to them because I was hoping that if they couldn't find, a 1 or 2 move win, they would say like, okay, there's no tactic here. It's just like an aggressive position. So that was my hope. And queen h4, knight d5 stops queen f6, and that defends successfully.
So knight d5,
that's the defense to queen h4.
How about Matt's idea of queen f3?
Yeah, queen f3 is a very, very good move. As soon as you said that, I'm like, huh. That must be Matt Kolozowski's not gone to bed yet in Poland, because that's a very strong move to look at. Queen f3, I think, is the best move. And then black should play queen c6 to stop queen f6.
You're saying rook f8 just takes?
Yeah, it just takes because your queen's pinned.
Queen c6, yeah, I didn't see that. So queen a8, rook b7 is a very nice kind of plug. But queen c6 doesn't let white get out of the pin.
Yeah. If this was a real game and you did play queen f3 chess latte, you'd be right. But if this were a tactics challenge and you said queen f3 is the winning move, you'd be wrong. It is the best move. Right? You want your queen on the light squares, you cover your king, you go to the open file, it's the best move. And white actually has miraculously an edge in a 2-pawn down endgame. After queen f3, queen c6, knight to g4 exclam. Another move that only Matt Kolozowski is going to give to us. And knight g4 exclam, threatening knight f6 with the famous little checkmate in the endgame. And black has to really scramble to save this one. They have to trade queens on f3. King takes f3. Knight d5, again, stopping a piece from coming to f6. King e4.
E4. Yeah.
And h5 is, again, the only move to stop the checkmate.
Cool. So that's another cheat detection. Someone's like, yeah, I was thinking queen f3 takes...
And then after king takes d5, h takes g4, e6, white has an edge in the endgame, down 2 pawns. Because their king's on d5, and it's a monster. But Kostya and Matt are probably the only 2 people picturing that position at this point. so much less finding the moves. So anyway, the point is, like, queen f3, queen f4, queen h4, bishop e7. These moves look promising. But if you don't see that they win in like 2 moves, you should accept like there's not a win here and like go on. It's a tough thing to do in a game, right? I mean, sometimes you basically hang yourself on your flag if this happens in a game.
Well, it's a different test because it's like, of course, like you guys mentioned, I think in the first segment, in a game, you still have to make a move. And there are many positions where you're not better and you still have to find the best chance or the best try. And that's a skill in and of itself.
Yeah. Okay, number 5. You want to try and explain number 5 to us while the contestants do their last minute?
I haven't spent too much time on number 5, but just looking at it right now, it does look like queen a1, queen a4, bishop takes e4. Looks pretty good.
Sorry, say that again.
Check. Queen a1 check, king c2, queen a4 check.
Mm-hmm.
And then either the king moves and we take on e4.
Yep.
Or like b3, queen a2 looks really, really bad for white. That one definitely feels very doable.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one should be like a little bit easier than some of the totally evil ones, right? I mean, you check twice, you take on e4.
That one looks very doable. Yeah.
The difficulty there is they might not think like a pawn is a big enough deal, right? But, you've got a very good position after you take on e4. Like, very good.
Yeah. Oh, so time's running out.
Time's running out. I've just received...
I thought time had run out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that I don't think that I scored any on this one, to be honest.
Okay.
Was that one supposed to be much, much harder?
I found that one extremely hard.
That one was harder, yeah. I think it may have been...
I'm not expecting points here.
Well,
it might have been a little harder than it was supposed to be, but it was harder than the first one. And the first one, already was hard.
I took a few gambles and left a whole lot unanswered.
Yeah.
I said no tactic for like so many because I just couldn't find anything. I think I'm gonna lose. I think I'll probably get minus points for that. But
If there is a tactic, you can get minus points for guessing no tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are
I
some that
know,
have
but
no
I just
tactics.
couldn't
So
find. I know. I just couldn't find the tactics.
Yeah.
And that's different from there being no tactics.
yeah, but sometimes
That is
that's a
our
really good
tactic.
instinct to have, to be like I'm not going to find a tactic, or there isn't a tactic, and move on with your
Yeah.
with your life. I often lose on time because I'm looking at a position, looking for a tactic when there isn't one.
Yeah.
All right.
I also I didn't want to let you guys make me second guess myself, and I didn't want to be like, oh, I just can't find it. Instead, I've gone for the maybe like too like headstrong, but like nah, there's nothing here.
Yeah. Great.
I want to back myself,
Okay.
but I really didn't. I think I've missed a lot.
My worry right now, I know you guys are worrying how many points you got and how much money you got and all that, but my worry is that hopefully none of you hate me for this having been maybe a little harder than it was supposed to be.
Oh, that was so hard.
We'll just rant to our own senseis after this, David.
What's
There's
that?
some chance I didn't get anything right.
Okay.
That's how hard it
Don't
was.
worry. I don't think I got anything right either.
But I gave answers, so if I got nothing right, that's bad.
Our only tactic, Ty. Our
Yeah.
only tactic.
Kostya, who's very polite, as you all know by now, told me that at least it was good training for all of you. But maybe some of you hate me. We'll see.
It's good training for me. I'll be.
That's what I'm concerned about.
All right. So, raw score. The first to turn in the answers in my email was Lula.
Oh no.
And we are going to look
okay.
at the puzzles here.
It's gonna make everyone else feel better about their answers, which is the main thing.
Right. So, my other thing over here, tactics challenge number 1. Lula says no tactic. There is one. There is one winning move for white in that position. It is the retreating move, knight to d1.
What?
Wow.
And -2.
And should I put -2
I'm
for everybody?
I'm okay with
Probably.
I tried 94.
Brutal. Night.
Knight d1.
Explain.
In order to, on the next move, play knight e3, and then the rook on f5 can't keep the bishop on d5 defended.
Oh. But that's brutal. 91.
But what about? It can't like move its king or something. I can't believe that works. All right.
There are no variations actually. It's just knight d1, knight e3, and yeah. Yeah. Anyway, as Adam says, that was the easy one. No.
No, that was definitely not
Yeah,
the easy one.
that does make sense now, but
No.
like nah.
That's one that's seared in my mind as basically the most difficult puzzle ever without like any variations, right? It's not like 6 moves of calculation or anything like way ahead to visualize. There's almost no pieces on the board to confuse you, and yet it's like hard to find. Anyway, you're all tied for first place right now.
Tied for first.
Second.
I'm wondering if I
puzzle.
could have won this round by just turning in I don't know on all 12.
And got in a
Probably,
0,
yeah,
just made
'cause I'm
sure
gonna
not to
have
get a
minus.
negative score.
Yeah, that's a good tactic in itself.
Yeah. Matt thought that the training he gave you was difficult, which I think is his way of saying I overdid it on this test. Oh, man. All right. Number 2, you gave bishop takes e8.
Yeah, I don't think I got any of these, honestly.
Yeah.
No.
It was also hard.
Yeah.
My apologies.
What's the right answer?
The correct answer was to take on g6 with your knight. Before.
Oh, I thought about that. Yeah.
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 Yeah, because you've got those 2 forked pieces, and the problem with your bishop takes rook move is that black can capture it with the queen, leaving the 2 pieces still attacked, and the queen on
that's
e8
true,
starts
yeah.
to defend her king side. So
Yeah,
you
you're
want
right,
to take
yeah.
on g6 with the knight first, leaving open the option of taking the rook in some lines. And
Makes sense.
yeah.
I was trying to make that work too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out the whole
Yeah.
line.
I never made one of the lines work, but I guessed it anyway. So,
It was the most
like I said, it's gambles.
it was the most tactical move on there. Yeah.
Hmm.
Your answer on puzzle 5 is the second best thing, winning a pawn. There's a slightly better pawn to win, which is the one on e4, opening up the g6 bishop. If you're
Oh man.
still looking at puzzle 4, if you guys can look up the diagrams, black can play queen a1 check, king c2, queen a4 check, and then play bishop takes e4, and so it wins a pawn, but it also ruins white's king.
Can I make a point?
Yes.
Sorry, it might not be a good point. I have a FIDE master in my chat, and he's on 0 out of 3 so far.
Nice. Well, he can be a student on the next episode of on the next season instead of a teacher in that case. Traditionally, FIDE masters would take the role of teacher on this show.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I can't believe I won the wrong pawn.
Yeah.
Feels bad, man.
It's number 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Percent.
You got number 7 correct.
What did I
Queen
put?
a8
Wait,
check, king d7, knight e5 check, king e8. That's correct.
Ooh. I think I'm still in the negatives.
Yeah, but let's not focus on the negatives. All right. Puzzle 8, I don't know was a good solution. You got no points off on that one. Yes. Puzzle 10, no answer is correct as well. Very good. Very good.
Hey.
Good spot to say no tactic instead of I don't know. Very good.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
Puzzle 11. The first move is something insane. Just something else. Okay. All right. Who wants their test scored next?
Oh boy. Wait, what? Okay, what's mine? What's
Final
mine on
score
yours?
is
5?
10, just like on the first test.
It would make sense to go.
Still
I'm in the
good.
positives.
Nice. Positives.
It would make sense to go reverse order of scores from the first round.
Yeah, I was thinking
Did you get mine?
I'd probably just go in order of the emails I got. All right.
Let's go, Lula.
Number 2. I think white has a forced checkmate here. Whoa. It's heavy. Knight takes g6 is correct. hg6, queen g6, king h8, bishop c2. f5, queen h6, king g8, queen e6. Wow. That's a crazy variation, man. Very, very long, Blue Jay.
That took like 15 minutes itself. Think about.
And game over with mate. All right. You'll be the first person to, for one moment, have a positive score on this test before you get the next one wrong. Let's see. Number 3. No answer. Number 3, there is an answer. Knight d3 threatens to checkmate, runs into queen d4. Yeah. You guys, the answer to number 3 is e5. Taking away the queen d4 move from white. You play e5 to stop queen d4, and then you can go for knight d3 later.
Shouldn't have tried to gamble on one move with no variation.
I didn't think that I had time to play a slow move.
All right. Puzzle 4, you guessed no answer, which was correct.
Actually, can we get the puzzles up on the stream, David?
Over the...
Also,
Sure.
yeah, I also don't even see them.
We'll make the puzzles big here. Actually, I'll make them medium big so we can still see the scoring. Okay, so puzzle 4 was the one with no answer. That was correct. Number 5, I think white is winning, but you're playing black. Queen A1 check, king there, queen check, king there, bishop takes E4. Correct. 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 Queen runs away safe. So I'm not sure what you meant about white being winning, but you're being judged on your variation, which is correct.
Black, yeah. I meant black.
Oh, you meant black is winning. Okay, you were correct then. Very correct.
Sorry.
I'll
check out the colors after.
Good job on that one. You've got queen A1 check correct. You've got queen A4 check correct. Bishop takes E4, and you found bishop E3 for white, which was the best defense there. And then
was bishop takes E4 correct?
Bishop takes E4 was correct as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So you actually got 5 points on that one. I think 1, 2, 3, 5. Yeah. Puzzle 6. No answer. That is correct. So puzzle 6 has an almost brilliant tactic for black. Super, super brilliant tactic of knight G3 check. Well, black's a little bit behind, right? First of all, just a little bit behind in the position. And it looks like they can save themselves with knight G3 check, pawn takes G3, queen H3 check, king G1, bishop D4 check, and then when white blocks, queen G2 checkmate. But there's a rook on A2 that defends that checkmate at the end. If white blocks on E3 with the bishop, trades bishops, the rook on A2 stops the checkmate at the end. So the answer on that one is no tactic.
Oh, that would have been so nice. Oh.
The funny thing about that is that I calculated that the rook blocked, but then I also noticed that black is behind. We're black in that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're behind. So I was like, well, if there's no tactic, we're just losing. So he wouldn't. And so I sort of played a bit of a mind game and just said there has to be a if it's just no tactic, black just loses. And so I went for it and put that down.
All right, Blue Jay.
Do I get any points for seeing the entire flawed line and ending with, oh no, rook A2 covers G2, even though I answered I don't know?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I saw everything about that line, including what was wrong with it, and didn't give it as an answer, but included it in my answer.
Blue Jay gets points on number 7 here for correctly calculating the entire queen A8 check, king D7, knight E5 variation. King E8, queen takes rook, king takes rook, knight C6, picking up the queen on B4. Wow. All right, on puzzle 8, the last one on this page, he says white wins a rook, so maybe white is winning. Bishop G5 check is correct. HG, rook E1 check, king D8 forced, queen takes G8, king C7, queen takes A8. Yes, you've won a rook and you're threatening mate. How many exclams did he score here? 1.
Was that right?
Yes. 2, 3. Another 5 points. Kostya, you said you were scared of Blue Jay. Are you still scared of Blue Jay?
Dude, super impressive.
I'm scared of Blue Jay.
Everyone raised their hand. Whoa. Puzzle number 9. We're going to go to the second page here of the test. Everybody please turn to the second page. White wins the queen, so white is winning. Bishop H6, queen H6, knight F5. And queen G6, knight E7, collecting all the points there. There's an exclam on bishop H6. There's another one on knight E7, which was seen. Wow. Number 10. I don't know. I'm out of time, but I'm going to guess no answer. Correct. Good guess.
Was that right? Oh my god.
There's no answer. You
Three of those
calculated
answers are, like,
95, and
intuition.
usually the bishop takes e7, but queen d5 threatens the rook. That's exactly the tactic that doesn't work.
Ah,
Puzzle 11. I think there's a mate. 1 queen g8 with a surprise discovery of queen d4, king e7, king d8. That is correct.
I've seen that puzzle before, in my defense.
Well, good on you for seeing it before. Oh my god. Striking fear into the hearts of everybody. Puzzle 12. I don't know. I have no time here. You feel like there's a tactic, but you have no time. So is your answer that queen e2 wins, or is your answer that you're not answering it?
No, there's no answer to it. That's the first thing I just saw. But
That's,
like, I
you're
saw
just
nothing
giving me
else.
what you were thinking about.
Yeah, it's a positional. That's what I thought, but I have no idea. Yeah.
Queen e2 positional. Okay, so I'll give you 0 points on that question. And you are at 27. And now we are going to grade the paper of
Was there an answer for puzzle 12?
There is, yes. Yes, there is. All right. So, on the first one gives
That's
knight
me.
e4 check. That's wrong. On puzzle 2, correct. Knight takes g6. And gets rid of the negative score. Number 3, rook to b7. We can bring the test back up maybe if we want. Rook b7. It's a good looking move, but after queen d4 check, it does not
Oh, right. Queen d4 is check. That
bring
would be
you
what
any
I-
happiness. That's the big problem
Yeah.
in that puzzle, is to see that white has one resource, queen d4. Okay, number 4, you don't know. The answer was there was no answer. Number 5, queen a1 check, correct. Queen a4 check, correct. Bishop takes e4. Correct.
nice.
Bravo. Very good answer there. Number 6, I don't know. And you give the whole variation, exactly the variation you need to get. You just need to say there's no tactic based on that. I'm going to give you a point anyway because it's so impressive. And obviously, the rules in this outfit are a bit loose anyway. What am I? I'm expecting some complaints. But that was really impressive. Now, queen a8 check, king d7. If queen b8, knight b6, getting the extra point for seeing the queen b8, knight b6 check variation. Woo! And king d7, knight e5, king e8, queen d8, king d6, queen c6. Wow. Racking up points on that one there. That's an exclam. 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 7 points.
Whoa.
Feeling good, Kostya?
What?
Are you feeling good?
I'm fine. Was there a question to me?
No. Just curious how you're feeling as we see some points coming in for one of the players getting some answers correct.
I literally have no horse in this race.
All right. 18, bishop g5 check, correct. Rook e1 check. Rook e6, correct. That's another point. 2 extra points on that one. 4 points. Whoa, chess numbers. This is not bad at all. And you got bishop h6 and knight e5 and knight e7 to round it off at 19. That's amazing.
Wow. Well done, teammate.
That's amazing. And you did a really good job of not randomly answering 4 or 5 of them that you didn't know. I think, as well. Okay. Another one to grade. Seth sent me a photo album on Google. Nice. Thank you, Seth. This is great. So number 3, knight d3, queen d4, queen d4, c d4. Oh, yeah, knight d3, queen d4, queen d4, c d4. You'd win, but there's knight d4.
Knight d4.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Can I just use arrows to go through it? Oh, I can. It's beautiful. Queen a1, queen a4, bishop e4, queen a1. Bravo. Good work. Okay, number 6. You've got the whole variation up to where the rook takes your queen.
Yeah.
Queen a8, king d7, knight e5. Good. Queen a8, queen b8, knight b6. Bravo. Number 8, I don't know. Good guess.
Number 9, also don't know. I just forgot to write that.
Okay.
I was just out of time.
Number
on all
10,
these
knight
ones.
takes d5, bishop e7, knight e7, or knight d5, e d5. Right. And number 11, queen h2 check. No.
Yeah. I thought it would be worth a shot, but it was not worth a shot. Man, I thought number 10, I was like, oh, he threw us an easy one. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Terrible. I even mentioned, he could take with the pawn or the queen, and then you take their bishop. And I was like, oh, wait. Now that you mention it.
Yeah. Whew. Yikes. All right. So it was tough. It was exciting. Blue Jay and Chess Numbers, you qualify for the finals. But I would like to propose and offer to you that we do the finals at another mutually convenient time for the two of you. Would that be all right, since we've already hit 4 p.m.?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
sounds good, yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
I've
All
got
right.
a baby, needs to go to bed soon.
So we'll definitely pick a time that works for the two of you to do that. And we'll have that duel. We'll try to get Andras on for that one. Congratulations to all 4 of you on making it to the second round and putting up a great fight. Seth, I believe you are the first person to earn some cash for your team here with a 3rd place finish in the Tactics Challenge. So bravo. And yeah, anybody want to share with us how they're feeling after this test?
Intense nausea.
Feeling better after it was
Yeah.
scored than I was
Really
while I was
intense
taking.
nausea.
Relieved there's no more.
Relieved it's over. You don't want to do the next round.
Yeah.
I can't believe that there is a next round. I didn't even realize that. Oh my god. If there was about to be a next round, I would be feeling good that I was not in it.
Right.
Rather than getting one of the, I would feel bad for the top 2.
Yes.
Strategic 3rd place so that you don't have to do more of this.
If you check out the VODs, you will see that I hypothesized that you guys might be regretting your good scores in the first round when I was watching you do the second round. So I think what might be cool to do to round out the show is I'll show the answers to a couple of the tactics from the second test that we didn't get around to yet. And contestants, you are welcome to stick around to listen to that or to go on about your days. I know Ty has kids, but I think I can probably take a few more minutes to go over a couple answers real quick.
I really like
I'm
number
gonna-
11.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna head off because it's midnight here. So
All
thank
right.
you.
Cheers. Yeah.
Bye guys.
Special props to Lula for playing till midnight,
Oh
and
my God,
and Jay,
yes.
for you it's
Can't
also the
imagine.
middle of the night, right?
Oh no, I'm in Canada.
Oh, you're in
So,
Canada. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were
That's
in
not too bad.
Korea.
I'm Korean, but I'm in Canada.
Okay. So you've got the flag on your chess.com account, but you're in Canada.
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
it says Toronto, Canada on the
Cool.
file there.
All right. Cheers, Lula. Thank you.
Bye.
And I am going to take off 2 to get that baby down.
Great. Good luck with
Thanks,
that.
everyone.
Good eye.
See you later. I'll see you later, Blue Jay.
Yeah. I'll see you later, man.
All right. So we're going to mix up the cameras for a moment here. See what I can do about this. We'll go zoop. Zoop. Like that. And then with this one,
Should we be signing off ourselves or?
it's totally up to you.
Okay.
I'm going to go over just a couple answers here, probably for like 5 to 10 minutes. All right. So let's see here. Okay. Here is question number 12. Coast, did you recognize question number 12? It's a Mikhail Tal game.
This one, don't feel like I do.
I feel like the only way... Oh, sorry, this is question 11. Or 11 or 12? 12?
No, this is 12. 11
12,
was the study.
Yeah. So I think more or less the only way anyone would have gotten this would have been seeing Tal's game. Yeah. And the answer is that this bishop, you can pin it to a back rank tactic if you double your queen on the e file. Queen e2, a million exclams. This was the cheat detection question on this test, NT Wapo, yes. Each test had one question on it, which if the contestant got it correctly, they would have been disqualified for cheating. And that was this one. Queen e2, and the concept is that on bishop c3, you trade, weakening the back rank, and then bishop g5. Tal found this. He wasn't cheating. And Blue Jay guessed that queen e2 might be the right positional move. Didn't realize that it was actually a winning tactic. And didn't make a guess on this one. Went with, 0 point, not trying to answer. But what instincts to have looked at queen e2. And this is one position which is winning for white, although still you would have to calculate for a minute to realize that's true. And then this other possibility for black is they go queen c3. And now you work on this bishop as if it's pinned to back rank mate with bishop c1. Because if black takes on c1, rook b8, queen e8.
Wow.
Yeah. This is just for amusement. Nobody was supposed to find this thing. Yeah, I mean, you were supposed to not find this. So so that's one of the difficult, one of the two impossible ones. Andras recognizes it. Andras knows this position. All right.
Oh.
Let's see. Another one I could bring up here is this endgame study, or it's a segment of an endgame study. If you like, Andras, you can join us. Yes.
Oh, maybe I'll hop out, David, and then you can talk to Andres for a bit.
Yeah, we'll let Andras do the last couple minutes here.
All right, cool. Okay, see you guys later. Have a good
All
one.
right. Cheers, Kostya.
Bye.
I'm gonna have to go back down here. Could have just left it. Hey Andres, how's it going?
All right, good, thank you. I just completed my application for the 2022 Ultimate Sensei as a student, but I'm polishing up my CV because I don't think I will pass.
So you're on team David made the test too hard, huh?
Look, I do not want to make you feel bad because I think you may have received a little bit too much grief already in that department. I'm just saying that I'm not sure if I will pass the student test for 2022. So time to shape up for Mr. International Master. I mean, look, take it as a compliment. You made it so that it was definitely decisive in the sense that it was easy to pick winners and, you know, pick a ranking.
Yeah.
If everyone solves everything, you know, you might have to throw in an extra few puzzles to decide who is who.
Right.
You definitely didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you handing out GM norms, by the way, for this, or FIDE hasn't approved?
If you score over 30 points like Jay, you can get a GM norm, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, this is a famous one. I know this.
You know the tall game.
No, I already know the one that is on the screen.
It's this one too.
Yeah, it's in Secrets of Spectacular Chess.
Okay.
And I think it's a zigzag, like you need to go on the back rank and then go back to where you started off. I don't remember the exact solution. I think it's some check and then eventually go back to Queen E8 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Jay got it. You start with Queen to G8.
Queen G8, right.
You have to stay on the 8th rank so the opponent can never start checking you. Because if you come off the 8th rank, they can check you. So you always need the discovered checkmate, right?
Yeah, I remember now. You walk to E8, then E5 check, and then back to H8, and they can't go Queen A1 because you take the check.
And now they can't go to A1. Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
that's it. Yeah.
So
I briefly remembered.
This one here is extremely difficult to figure out, but I gave it to them partway through with the idea that at this point, there's only so many moves to calculate, right? There's queen takes queen, you see it's a draw, and then you're left with queen on the 8th rank or queen H2. So I thought there's like a chance that people get one or two moves right, and it's a place where you can differentiate. Someone gets the first move right, but someone else gets 2 moves, or someone else gets 0. So I wasn't expecting full solutions on a lot of on a lot of these questions. I wasn't expecting full solutions. So there's already 2 points if they just get the first move right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an easy way to cut back on the marking, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So so that was another of the hardest ones. Let's see what else was. Maybe we can go over the answer to one more of these. If I bring up this board here, let me see. Oh, we mentioned the answer to problem number 9 was bishop h6, queen h6, knight f5. That was mentioned during grading on the show. And here's one I think I can explain honestly without playing a lot of moves is number 10. Number 10 is black to play. And if you've done a lot of 3-minute puzzle rush, you'll have seen tactics where you play knight takes knight on d5, bishop takes e7, and then the knight recaptures on e7 and blacks up a piece.
Elastic band, it's called.
Elastic band. And here the elastic band doesn't work because after
Queen takes the rook hangs on a8.
Knight d5, queen d5 attacks on a8. And so, yeah. So you're just supposed to see that you can't do it.
So no solution or what?
So the answer is no solution on that one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that was that puzzle there. You know, they're supposed to like think like, oh, knight d5, and then, you know, maybe double check.
Fair.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's most of we've gone over most of the problems there at this point. So yeah.
Turns out I joined the party too late, hey?
Well, the party went overtime. We're gonna have a third section to the party later, because there's gonna be a final shootout between Blue Jay and Chess Numbers. So we're gonna have to schedule that for another time because the tests went a little bit long.
Oh, right, okay.
And if you like, maybe you can come on and do that shootout with the two of them. We'll see.
When would that be?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll do an email chain with them, and I can include you on it if you're interested.
Sure.
Oui, j'arrive bientôt. But yeah, that was the competition. So how do you feel today went?
Look, I only tuned in, like I was in and out, and now I'm in. It was definitely more on the difficult end compared to what I anticipated, but that's not to say that you didn't do the right thing. It was just that I thought that some puzzles, in fact most of them, were rather challenging, but good for you. Like, this is all about growth, I suppose.
Yeah, and there were a few good scores here. I mean, on the first test, everybody got a positive score, so that was good. I think the first test was appropriate, and the second test got out of hand. And probably fatigue played a role too. What do you think, Seth? Like, do you think like you were more fatigued during the second test than the first one?
Yeah, I think about midway through the second one. Like, I also didn't realize it had 12 questions. I think with about 15 minutes left, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes left, I opened the second one thinking there were only 2 more.
Right.
I was like, oh man, there's 4 more. So and I still had some to come back to. But yeah, I was definitely feeling it.
Yeah.
It was almost like I was looking more at the clock, I feel like, in round 2. I'm trying to keep like my energy up, but I was also like, 30 more minutes of this.
On round 1, had you come down to like having no time left, or had you been double checking? Like, everybody sent them in sort of after 1 hour. Like,
no. I it brings back horrible memories of high school, taking the ACT and stuff, because I've always been a bad time test taker. I've always been like very slow and like always scrambling to the last second, trying to finish. And so I did not. There were ones I kind of wanted to come back to, and in fact, some of the ones that had no solution, I wanted to, in like round 1, I think I would have come back and just put no solution. But like I was like, oh, I better take a picture. I don't want to like get disqualified because I send it in too late or something.
Right.
So I was like, better safe to go with I don't know. And then there was a part of me, I was also thinking like the strategies. Like, if I can't find it, and I think in round 1, I should have stuck to my guns a little bit more. It's like, if I can't find it, I'm better off betting on myself, saying there's no solution, thinking I'll get more than 50-50 of those. And then, right, because it's like you get 2 points if there is no solution. You lose 2 points if there is a solution and you say no solution.
Yeah, so you just have to be better than 50-50.
Yeah, and I thought I would. I'm like, I should be better than 50-50 on ones I don't know. But because I was on a scramble at the end, so my plan was not to put I don't know for any of them, at least in the first one. The second one, I didn't think there was better than 50-50 necessarily. So, yeah.
What do you reckon, David? Should I start looking at Pervakov studies for 24/7 now with my students for the endgame challenge, or where do we take it from here?
I think I'm gonna try and tone things back a little bit from here. Yeah. I'll send out a sumimasen email, and take responsibility for the pain I've caused.
Oh, look, I don't want to give you grief. I don't think you caused any pain. It's just, I think we confirmed the concept of chess is hard, and there is nothing wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about chess is hard is some of the puzzles I gave are only 2 moves long, and yet they're difficult.
Actually, can you show me that? Because I heard you, but I didn't watch when you talked to Kostya about the one from Gaprindashvili that you consider to be the hardest straight liner, like the one that doesn't have sidelines and two moves. I want to have a look at that.
Sure.
Actually, there's a cool story to that book, by the way, on my end. Well, not really, because I used to own that book and I lent it to someone, and it hasn't made its way back, and that upsets me a little bit because that book is a marvelous collection. My only problem with that book, if that is valid at all, I don't know, is that it's a fairly old one as far as I understand, and I don't know how many of those were found unsound. Do you have any input to that?
I don't know how many of them are or are not unsound. This one is sound, and that's about what I know.
Are you just setting it up now? I thought you had it ready. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's no problem. There's not a lot of pieces on the board.
This looks very familiar.
Okay, here it is. White to play.
I've seen this somewhere. Actually, funnily enough, in the Gaprindashvili
probably in the book.
that's where I would have seen this.
That is where you would have seen it, yeah.
So how do we make it some Zugi or Rook trap? So G4, Knight E2. The idea of Knight G3, Knight D4 check. Is that something? So G4 takes Knight E2, King E6, Knight G3, Rook F6, Knight E4 then doesn't work, huh? Oh wait. So G4 region, Knight E4, King E6.
Is this going to make you feel better, Seth?
Yeah. Oh man. I was just like, nah, there's nothing here.
That rook is begging to be trapped.
Yeah.
But
so hang on, what do you do after knight e4 check, king e6, knight g3? Because rook f6, knight h5 wins the pawn, but that's apparently not enough.
That wins a pawn, but it's not enough. After rook g6, the position's not easy for white.
Right. Knight there, knight there, knight there, knight no.
Yeah.
Wow, what a puzzle, man.
Yeah.
What a devilish piece of work it is.
Yeah, and when I tell you the solution, like, you'll be like, there were only 2 pieces on the board, right? And the solution is literally 2 moves long.
Okay, tell me, I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah, it's knight d1.
Oh, fuck. Apologies. That was fork. That's what I said.
I know. It's a fork coming on e3.
Yeah. How pathetically simple is that?
It's crazy, right? This position can just can leave professional chess players just scratching their heads.
So my question was what if just king c6 or something?
Yeah. Then knight e3 and the rook's attacked and
yeah, the rook has
the rook's
attacked on the 5th.
Yeah. Right. So then you're attacking the bishop twice.
Yeah. All right, folks.
That's cheating, David. I was meant to solve this.
Yeah.
You jinxed the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, my apologies to everybody, except the fans who probably got to just enjoy it. They're probably laughing.
Man, I think just for the fans, it was a jolly good ride.
Yeah. I've made Ultimate Sensei a little bit more intense this year, but that's good for the spectators. It's pain for all of us.
I think, David, in the end of the day, you always have that escape route of saying, there is a reason why it's called the ultimate. This is not for the children, guys. We're sorry.
Yeah.
But if you want to become the ultimate sensei or the ultimate Padawan, you need to show your skills.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll say this was just if you think of it, if you reframe it, this was just a really good training session, I think.
Yeah, that's how Kostya sees it.
Calculation.
That's how Kostya sees it. Kostya was like, "Hey, at least it'll be a good training session for my for my students."
Yep.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Good night. Good morning. We'll see you soon. Be sure to follow Andras and the other coaches so you can see their lessons. So there are the links to all the Twitches of all the teachers and some of the students and contestants on this show. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Let us know what you think about our show. Feel free to hit us up with any comments, etc. And have a great day.
Thank you, David. Take care, man.
All right, and we are offline.